votes for the Democrats, and at that time they looked at it from a racial lines. But they said you can't do it by racial, but it was recalculated and it was done by Democrats, which they allow partisan gerrymandering, but it was under the guise of partisan, not racial. That's why I'm talking about the system, and it is happening right now.
Let me ask you this as far as gerrymandering. Do you think that just because the Democrats lose some key areas that's racist? Just yes or no?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
It's kind of loud. I can barely hear you.
All right. Do you believe that just because with gerrymandering, that when Democrats lose key areas, is that racist?
Okay. Democrats do it too.
Yes, no?
Let me throw it out.
Yes, no?
I'm just saying.
No?
Well, before you say Democrats do it too in Maryland and New York, I'm against any gerrymandering.
I gotcha. Mommy, can you put the noodles in the pot? Yes. As far as gerrymandering, when Democrats do it, when they redistrict areas, is that racist?
It can be.
Okay. When Republicans do it, is it racist?
Well, D, you're asking a general question. Again,
I am asking a general question. Bro, listen, you make this harder on yourself.
Yes or no? Because I'm a critical thinker.
No? Okay, this is if you were critically thinking and your first answer was yes to the Democrats, your second answer should be automatically yes. Critical thinking doesn't mean you take too long to answer a question. It's just that you know where I'm going and you don't want to see the result of it. So yeah, the answer to your question would emphatically be yes, right? Because unfortunately, what you're doing is you're seeing racism within it, right? So let's take the race out of it. Does gerrymandering benefit both parties? Yes or no? Does it benefit both parties?
I'm getting off mute. Yes, it benefits the party that's in power. Yes.
All right. Predominantly speaking, so we're going to take it back to race for a second. And we're going to throw race back in there. Predominantly speaking, who has more white people in their party, Democrats or Republicans?
Republicans. I mean, well,
you sure about that, buddy?
I'd say actually you might be onto something there.
Historically, now it is Republicans have more white people.
That's not true, because most of the country, if you actually look right now, and if you're going with the fact that Joe Biden became president, more than half of the country is Democrat. More than half of the country, actually a good portion of the country is actually white. So just because Democrats do it, or just because Republicans do it, don't mean that there's a racist ideology involved, right? And just because Democrats don't do it, doesn't mean that there's a racist ideology involved. But if you really want to talk about the party with the most white people who probably have the most propensity to actually be racist, they're the Democrats. They have more white people in their party than Republicans.
I tagged you on, like I said, a couple of videos, and you'll see it. I tagged you on a couple of videos on.
Dude, I'm not looking at your videos. We're hearing this. I know, but this argumentation right now. What you're failing to understand is that you keep touting the fact that and I don't know why, because Republican and conservative doesn't actually equal each other, because there are some conservative Democrats. But what you're equating is the Republican Party with being racist when they do these things. Okay, and you're not putting that fault on Democrats when they do it as well, even though we have more white people in the Democratic Party than there are black or the Republicans, and when in fact more than half of the country.
Are you saying there's more black Republicans than the Democrats?
There are more Democrats than there are Republicans in the
country. No. That's what I'm asking. I'm asking you. Are you saying there's more blacks in the Republican Party than there are Democrats? That's what I thought you asked me.
In the Democratic Party than there is in the Republican Party. Currently, right now, there are. That's a true fact. But the fact of the matter is,
the latest data I saw,
if you're going to go with the racial aspect, Yeah, if you behold that for Republicans, you have to behold it for Democrats because they are the ruling party in this country right now, and they have the most white people supporting them.
The last data I saw, I think it was 26% were dedicated on Republicans down for the cause. And it was 28% for Democrats. The rest are independents. Now, what I was trying to say,
if you believe that Joe Biden won the presidency, then more than half of the country is Democrats. Now, if you don't believe that, then I would actually start to tell you that you are now entering into the red pill round.
I didn't say that. I said
you don't believe that is a fact, and you are now questioning it. Welcome to the red pill.
I didn't say that. I said I think the last data I said it was like 26% dedicated to Republicans, 28% dedicated to Democrats, and the rest was independents.
Listen to me. More than half of the country are Democrats. More than half.
More than half of the people are independent.
More than half of the country. Because this is what the Democratic Party has been telling you.
No.
Ever since Joe Biden was. Listen, I agree that it's not true. But let a Democrat tell you, or let them tell you that the reason Joe Biden won is because that more than half of the country are pro-choice, and they're also Democrat or liberal.
I believe it's pro-choice.
I would challenge. Tell me one Democrat. Tell me that I'm wrong about that. Because this guy, Dr. Digital, keeps saying that I'm beyond wrong. Please tell me that is not being touted by the left. That more than half of the country is Democrat.
And the right says the same thing. Have to go.
No,
I don't care about that.
No, I will admit we are a minority in this country. We absolutely are.
I don't care about who's whatever. I vote who I think's the best candidate. But
I didn't ask you about how you voted. I'm telling you the absolute truth. So if you want to talk about gerrymandering, the ruling party in this country, because it wasn't a red wave.
No.
Fine, I'll give it to you if you all can take account for gerrymandering and how racist it is. If the Democrats are going to die on that hill, that all of it, we're just racist because we're trying to gerrymander. Well, you are the ruling party in this country because you won the election, you won the midterm. So then you have to take account for the fact that you all gerrymander more than any other party. And therefore, you would have to take account, you would have to take stock in saying that you are the racist party.
MOD, that's not accurate. And go by.
I know it's not accurate, but ask a Democrat. They'll tell you the
same.
But
it goes by states. And right now, the states that are doing it and got caught, and they're going to have to change, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina's trying to whatever. Ohio got caught, and Wisconsin got caught. So what I'm trying to say is this: I'm against any type of gerrymander.
You're not picking up what I put down, my guy. Democrats have gerrymandered more than any party. Yes, they would be the ones that benefit from it. Because even despite all that, if you are saying you won the midterms, even with the redistricting, if you say you won the midterms, then it didn't work. So the gerrymandering actually benefited the Democratic Party.
I think people are getting more educated and getting out there and learning how to vote. But like I said, facts matter.
Gerrymandering does not benefit Republicans because if you all believe that we lost the midterms and the 2020 election,
matter. North Carolina, look,
gerrymandering is why Georgia won the Democratic vote.
Yeah.
Hey, can I just say something real quick? Who on here is a fan of Senator Kinney?
I don't know who that. Kennedy?
Yeah.
From Louisiana?
Mm-hmm.
He's fucking awesome.
I think he is too.
I love him because let me tell you, he's the one person calling out the truth.
So,
and was that muscular father of dragons who said that about the gerrymandering?
No, that was.
Nah, that was who said the Democratic Party because like gerrymandering, like that's it.
Okay, got it. Well, I love the conversation. Okay. All right. About the Yale, but I like I said, I'm against any type of gerrymandering, partisan or racial, any type. Let the voice of the people be heard, period, and just run with it. Electors do not select the people
All right, well,
select the
tell the
electors.
Democrats that because they're the ones benefiting from it.
Um,
There was no red wave. Remember that. They all won all those seats after they fucking gerrymandered. So tell the Republicans that, not us. Didn't work for us.
Other than Maryland and New York, name me one state that gerrymandered for the Democrats.
They all do it, bro.
Yeah.
They all do it. Both sides do it.
That is
But
not
it's
critical
benefited.
thinking.
It has benefited the Democrats the last 2 election cycles.
Peace, awesome, Lincoln, everybody else, y'all take care. Happy Hanukkah and all that.
Wait,
Take
you're gonna
care.
ask a question like that and then leave, brother?
Yeah, man. I've been on here for a minute, man. I just threw that out.
No, Georgia, man, that's a southern state. We're never supposed to win anything. Like, Georgia was a gerrymandering state based off the Atlanta and Augusta voting areas. Like,
predominantly black, and they say
I can't do the analysis of it, but I know this. This is what your governor and your secretary of state said. By certain individuals bringing doubt in the election system, they felt, why should I go out and vote?
Georgia won by wasn't Georgia won by Biden after they gerrymandered?
yep.
What the fuck are you talking about?
That only works for one side, but not the other, right?
There we go. So what we're not going to do is come in here and start screaming and yelling like a bunch of fucking wild animals. So Somos, you could stay your ass in the comments because you are incapable of having intelligent conversation because you lack intestinal fortitude and you probably play with your little Peter Johnson when you get up here to hear me talk. So you can stay in the comments, eat your medium-sized pizza, jack off in your parents' basement, and don't come back in my fucking live. All right, we're gonna move on.
Hey, I like medium pieces.
Who are you talking to?
Okay, that's an instant kick right there.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, he left.
All right.
You're not gonna come up in here talking about who the fuck are you and what are you talking about. You can take that bullshit on somebody else's fucking live that wants to hear it because I don't.
MOD, let him come up and let me handle him like transplant.
All right.
No,
He was
because
here.
all he's gonna do
Let's
is take
prepare a
everyone
roast.
to this live. At least Mr. Green, and even though we have different ideology, I do appreciate the fact that you're at least able to have a civil conversation without all the ad homs screaming and yelling. And you are welcome anytime in my life. Somos, you are going to stay in the queue until I feel like letting you up.
What about me?
All right. Y'all take care.
You think I'm all right?
All
Yeah,
right.
you're good.
Bye.
Bye, Mr. Green.
Yeah, bye-bye, Mr. Green. Thanks for coming.
Hey, I just want to say real quick, can y'all hit that like button?
Thank you. I appreciate that. If anybody else besides Somos is in the queue, and he can stay down there for as long as I please until he actually.
I'm in the sitting room. I'm in the sitting room. I got moves. I got moves. I got moves. I'm making moves. She made a bedroom. She made a sitting room. I'm in the sitting room. Five.
That's the start.
Yes, of course it's a start. But my point is, you don't know what you're talking about. And the reason why you keep hearing about it is because it's important and because the start isn't enough.
I get it, what you're saying, and true.
Read my entire background.
But it's I don't think what I took your topic as to say is why don't you support trans kids?
Did you read
and
Right. And you said you were sick of hearing about it, which is
No.
very
I didn't
fucking-
say I'm sick of hearing about it. I'm
Yes, you
saying that
did.
why
literally
violence is
did.
up globally
No.
against that community is probably because of
Don't
that.
fucking gaslight. You
That's
said you were
not what
sick
you
of
said.
hearing about it. You were tired of hearing about it. And that's
No,
very and
I
that's
said
very
from Jump Street that it's not I don't
Okay.
support thing. I think it's more like the My Pillows
Fine.
commercial. You're just tired of hearing them.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
see
like
Not
My
that you
Pillow
don't like
commercials
My
'cause I don't
Pillows.
watch fucking conservative news. I
Okay,
don't ever
well
fucking
that's your
see those
whatever.
things.
You're deflecting.
I'm not defending. I'm making a point
You-
that you
you-
obviously watch
Well,
conservative news.
well, look up the word analogy,
Yeah,
and then
I
you'll
understand
understand what I
analogies.
said.
The point, so even if you did say that other people are tired of hearing about it, that's very fucking privileged. Because if you can just ignore it, it means it doesn't affect you because you are privileged. And the fact that you ignore it instead of fighting for people that can't ignore it means that you're a fucking dipshit.
No, that just means that you're tired of the commercials.
Also,
That's it.
It's not a fucking commercial though.
The way to do it is to pass laws. It isn't to play a tuba in front of somebody.
You don't even know the laws. You claim
That's
to know
irrelevant.
what's
You're deflecting
federally
again.
protected,
You're
and you
deflecting
don't.
again.
Okay.
My point is
up the
the way
fact
to
that you don't
actually
know
do
what
it
you're
is pass laws, not bombard society with it.
What the fuck are you talking about? The laws are actually taking away the rights. That's why we're talking about it.
Okay, well, you're either talking about taking away the rights or you're talking about infringing on the 99% of the rest of the populace rights. Which one are you talking
fuck
about?
you. Let's see what Mr. Jones has.
What?
Okay, cursing is you're
Yes,
only
cursing
out
is what
now.
I do all the fucking time.
infringing on.
Well, that's an
wait,
uneducated mind
infringing
trying to
on the
make a
rights.
point.
How are
Okay,
trans
that definitely
people
means you're uneducated.
infringing
That
on the
doesn't-
rights of other people?
No,
are
I'm just telling you.
How are
You can't have
transgender
a four-leaf clover
infringing on the rights?
talking
How
about
are
himself to an
trans-
entire clover
How-
patch.
How about you just shush for a second?
Can you explain to me how anybody in the trans community would be infringing on the rights of other people? Just give me one example.
Well, I can give you a couple.
Yeah, please. Do.
Basically, it's being blown up like it's everywhere when it's really not. It's again only 1% globally.
That's your
That's
fucking
no right.
that's
That's not a
I'm
right.
sorry.
That's not a right. That's not an example of infringing on anybody's rights. So give me an actual rights violation.
Teaching stuff to toddlers that are
toddlers.
Toddlers' rights.
I mean, kindergarten, whatever you want to call it, is infringing.
Rights to not learn something.
Yeah. So if parents.
Well,
rights,
before
right?
puberty,
Hold
that
on,
should keep that magical.
Hey, friend, please be quiet for a
What?
second. So teaching children, right, about
Before
the existence of other individuals and how their existence may be different than yours is not infringing on their rights. As a
Well,
matter of
it's
fact,
parents' rights to teach their children.
Okay, let's talk about parents' rights. If parents have the right, they have the right for their child to opt out of said education. But parents should also have the right for their child to be educated about these things so they don't grow up to be bigots. They should also have the right to determine whether or not their child can receive gender affirming care because that is their child. So if we're going to talk about
There's
parents'
always
rights,
going to
they have
be
equitable on both sides of the, of the ideological spectrum.
Yeah, but you can't make people like you. I mean, just mathematical certainty. Just being 1%. Are you going to listen to me or just keep interrupting me? You can't. It's a mathematical certainty that when you're only 1% of the populace, there's going to be people that go, ooh, what?
I don't like you, but I
can't make people like me because my pigmentation.
I don't like you, but I acknowledge your existence as a human being.
You understand? I'm sorry to cut you off, Mr. Jones, but I just can't believe the absolute colonizer mentality of somebody who is not a white man saying that it's okay to make rules for the majority and not the minority.
Wild, to be honest.
Say again?
No.
You didn't hear that?
Oh, what he just said? I didn't hear what the very last comment was. I heard what the guy said, the majority over the minority. But then somebody else said something else after that. I didn't hear that.
They said
it's wild. Like, well, I mean, what else are we going to teach about? We're going to put Braille on doors. We're going to. I mean, there's a lot of minorities in here. We can't keep everybody happy.
We do put Braille on
literally
doors.
put Braille on doors. You fucking
to be on all doors.
Not everywhere, but I'm saying there is some. I've seen it, but
Literally
not everywhere.
Every marked door has to have.
Not everywhere. No, it does not. That's wrong. But anyway, like I said, I think your topic is confusing support with just fatigue.
Understand what rights are.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah,
I asked
that's
you
your
already.
opinion. I do understand what rights are.
It's
Hello,
not my
why don't you
opinion.
fucking
You've
stop
demonstrated it.
talking?
That's
Hello.
a conclusion that I've come
Okay,
to based
you know,
on
this is your house. I'm going to respect it, but don't think that's carte blanche to talk to me like that.
Whatever. Did you read this line?
Yeah, whatever.
My man said Blanche.
We got the Golden Girls up in here.
Okay, well, like I said, you know, trans men and women are no more actual men and women than a German Shepherd is actually a wolf.
Do you
But
think we give a fuck about the
XXXY misfires do happen, and if the parent will know if their daughter is trapped in their son's body, and if Tess, the parent,
bye.
What?
Fuck you,
bro. Is yapping. He is fluent in the Yappleville language.
Japanese.
Yes. And so I was told I was asked not to say that anymore.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
I made
I
a
will
whole
not say
shirt
that
about
anymore.
it and everything. And I even so I didn't personally make it. A friend of mine who is who is half Japanese and half black, talked to her people about it, right? And they were like, oh, that's fine, because it's not the only language that ends in ease. You know what I'm saying? The Chinese, the Cantonese.
It just rhymes. That's
Portuguese. All. But yeah, so I was asked not to do it anymore. So now it's just yapping.
That's fair.
The yapologist. He got yaptured.
So I'll correct something I said. I know a lot of entrances don't have to use Braille, but an emergency exit and any other door has to that isn't just a normal exit or entrance, has to have Braille on it. Bathroom doors have to have it. Elevators have to have it. What else has to have it?
Any building with federal funding, any federally funded building, or like federal housing, most state housing, that stuff all should have Braille in many aspects of the common area.
Since when is accommodating, you know what I'm saying, otherly able or disabled people a bad thing? That's it. I just don't understand this.
Yeah, I know. Oh,
Like
that's a big deal. What?
Yeah, our Constitution literally, you know what I'm saying, speaks of, like, in the preamble or whatever, making sure that the overall well-being of the people, you know what I'm saying, is maintained. Like, that's just part of maintaining the well-being of the citizenry.
Let me count the amount of Braille that I see.
Hi, podcast. What is your age?
You talking to me?
Yep.
Hey, what's up, Mel?
You're like tapping your microphone and it's very loud.
How old are you?
26.
Cool. Why don't you support trans kids?
I actually came up here just to ask you how much money you're making off exploiting your mentally ill child.
Okay, all right, cool. Anything else? You want to keep saying stupid shit?
I actually came up here to talk after I took some Ambien and hit a ball, and I just want to ask you about how I don't like what you do, Mel.
No, I was clear.
I don't give a fuck what you have to say. Shut the fuck up and leave.
Hey, Hulk. Hey, Mel, how much money are you making off of exploiting your child?
You know what exploiting is? Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Say hi, Mr. Jones. It's nice to see you again.
Hi, Two Spirit. How are you, love?
Good.
I'm glad
I'm
to
in
hear
the
it.
bath, actually. I'm enjoying myself.
I love it. Hot dog, how are you, friend?
Doing fantastic.
Glad to hear it. What about you? This new chill hall thing is that's hilarious. Did you have AI create that?
Yeah.
But I don't feel like you're fitting the persona though.
I know I'm not. I should be on my other profile. I got comment bananered because I said
I'm comment bananered right now for saying bro is so gross.
what I said was not what I meant. So I'm not going to say it here, but it was a misunderstanding. So I came on here, but yeah,
I didn't know we weren't allowed to say gross. That's crazy.
You can't say anything if people report it, basically.
That's crazy. I can't say gross. Yes, I said yes to Tony. I said Tony was gross, and I got comment bananaed.
You know what's funny though? Even remote controls and key fobs have tactile markings on them.
Correct.
Hello, bearded, whatever your name is. I looked at it 5 times. I'm forgetting.
Hello.
Hello.
So I'm just wondering, like, how old are we talking about here?
How old are you?
I'm 24.
Cool. Well, the question is, why don't you support trans kids?
Well, I mean, kid could be used in. I mean, how old are we talking about here? Because kid to some people could be 19 or 20 years
under
old.
18. Under 18.
Under 18, like how far under 18? Because I think a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old might be able to have some kind of opinion on it, but like, I don't know.
You understand that kids understand their gender identity by the time the part of the brain that determines gender identity is fully developed by the age of 6, at the latest 7.
See, when I was 6 or 7 years old, I just wanted to watch Toy Story and run around and eat shit, you know?
But you knew
And
you were a
you were a
boy.
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's the gender. So I don't know why people
I
think
mean,
this is so complex. It's
I
very
don't think it's complex. I just don't understand it.
okay. Well, the same way that you knew you were a boy, trans kids can know their identity.
Yeah. And I mean, if you don't believe that, if you shoot me a DM, I'll provide you tons of studies that show you that part of the brain is fully developed by the age of 6 or 7. So, I mean, this has been well studied for, quite some time now. Probably the better part of 40 years.
Okay, well, no, that's really the only question I had. I'm not trying to get on here and be disrespectful to anyone or like, talk down on your children like some of the people have been on here before. So, you guys have a good day. That's really all I had to ask was like how old, and I mean, if you guys have studies proving it, then, I'm not going to discredit that. There's scientists saying that it's real. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah. I mean, they're quite literally like the American Pediatrics Psychology Association. I mean, there's praxis, right? Set up for all of this. You have to go and see multiple different specialists, in order to even receive gender affirming care. So it's not like somebody just like walks into a doctor's office, a parent walks into a doctor's office and says, my child, thinks that they're the opposite gender, and then like, oh, okay. And then they start the care. That's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? They have to be, evaluated. These symptoms have to be persistent, consistent, and insistent. Before, they make these types of determinations. It's not like it's some fly-by-night operation.
Well, see, I just grew up in a very old school household, and
we all did. It's not an excuse to keep the same ideas. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not keeping the same ideas. I'm open to it. I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't understand it. I'm on here trying to find knowledge. I'm not trying to argue.
I didn't say you were. I'm just giving you the information you're looking for. And like I said, if you want to reach out to me, I can provide you with a wealth of information that explains, how gender identity is developed within a human being, for how long and at what age our gender identity is, confirmed, essentially. How gender has changed and how we see gender has changed throughout history and throughout cultures, how the existence of trans people can be traced back as far as we've traced back civilization. So,
well, you guys have a good day. I don't really have anything else to say.
Okay, well, have a good one.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah. None of this is a trend. What I think that people fail to realize, right, is that this has been going on without fanfare for decades. And now, right? And now, because the Republican Party, as always, needs to identify an enemy because they're fascist in nature. They've found an enemy in the trans community. They've found enemies in other marginalized groups, like people coming here to seek asylum or to seek refuge from whatever country we destabilized. And so because they've identified enemies for you to fear, it stabilizes their voter base. That's the trend. The trend is finding people to hate. That's the trend.
I gotta agree with you there. I really do. I have some questions and I have some comments, and it's within the debate, so they're real life questions. How old are you to have to be considered able to join the military? I know it's an odd question, but it's
18,
a
and I
true
don't think it's a good idea. I don't think you should be able to join the military at 18 years old. You can't drink, smoke cigarettes, you know what I'm saying? Or any of that, but you can go and fight, you know what I'm saying?
It's good.
For a country that doesn't care about you. That's wild.
Military is not medical care, though. It's not.
Sure isn't.
Right, but I'm just bringing up a list of things that focus into to what
Talking about is medical care. That's what
I got you. I'm swinging into it. So, is it a child? Because we're talking kids, and I'm going to say child in terms of roughly around the age we start making them sexual choices or decisions between 12 and 17, where a kid starts to have a true identity. Right? Am I wrong?
No. What do you mean sexual choices?
Okay, an identification within yourself of what you are, male, female.
Yeah, that, like I said, that's solidified in the brain by the time you're 6 or 7 years old.
Again, male or female sex, not gender. We're talking about gender.
I'm new to this conversation, so I'm here for understanding and questions. So I'm trying not to be overly powerful or disrespectful or anything like that. I have normal questions. I mean, I have 4 kids that are 11, 10, 9, and 8 that are all within that area because I listened for a while before I joined.
Yeah. So I have 5 children myself, just for context.
Right, there you go. So serious questions and knowledge my way, I guess, is where I'm headed. So medical attention at that age would be decided by who?
By a group of individuals. So first of all, the child would have to exhibit, you know what I'm saying, characteristics that fall within having a question about their gender, right? So gender dysphoria, but just keep in mind that not all trans individuals have gender dysphoria. But if they're exhibiting signs of that, it would be up to the parents to seek medical care, and then a team of medical professionals make these determinations.
Right. So my belief is that it's at the parent level that's failing on helping these children make a decision, whether it's a hold on, whether if I'm a male and if I identify within myself as a female, correct?
No, you wouldn't be identifying as female. You would be a woman.
Oh, okay. So I don't know all the proper nouns and pronouns and things like that. So I'm okay being corrected. I don't mind that. But I think it's parents who are failing these children in making irrational medical decisions for their children.
How can you say that not even understanding the very basics of this conversation?
I sat here and listened for about 40 minutes.
What part of the decision is irrational? I'm sorry, what's your name? Steve? We'll just go with Steve. Steve, what part of these decisions are irrational?
Well, I support someone to be able to decide how they feel and whether it's internal or external.
Right.
You're blaming parents.
But yeah,
What
that
are
would
you basing that on?
I didn't decide how I feel.
So let me ask you a question. Hey, if one of your children came to you with these concerns, what are you going to tell?
It would be something I would have to speak to them out of love, correct?
Well, obviously, I would hope so. They're your children.
So then I would have to take it to because I'm not with an understanding of exactly what my child
We're not
would be
with
thinking.
understanding. So why are you blaming parents?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So if your child came to you with these concerns, what would you do?
I would have to take it to a counselor, to
Take
a
it.
psychologist.
Can you say your child? Can we refer to them as people, as human beings?
Yeah.
When I said it, I meant the situation, not my child.
Gotcha.
itself.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the clarification. So you would take your
So-
child to a counselor. And if the counselor said that, you know what I'm saying, that they recommended that they speak to other specialists, you would probably take them to those other specialists, right?
Would have to support that.
Right. And then
Now,
they
what I'm
decided,
saying-
if that team of specialists decided that they needed gender affirming care,
I would
because
have
they
to
risk
support that.
unaliving themselves, you would support it?
That's a tough question as a parent, isn't it?
It shouldn't be. If they say they're going to unalive themselves, they have.
I thought you meant through the treatment itself, the medical treatment. But I mean, if that's what I understood. So I mean, you're shaking your head no, but that's what I understood as he was saying, and I corrected myself quickly. So I think this conversation is
Are you gonna blame
a parent not understand. I don't go to a taco shop to get a pizza. Does that make sense?
Taco Bell sells Mexican pizzas. I don't know how that has anything to do with
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
You
so
use
I'm
a
asking
different
you again,
analogy.
if the specialist told you that your child needed gender affirming care and the child had thoughts of unaliving themselves,
I would have to depend on that specialist.
Actually,
And
that analogy does work because I wouldn't go to you to ask about your opinion on gender affirming care since you are not a specialist.
Right. So that's what I'm getting at. And I'm saying I think it's certain parents that are failing to actually listen to their child that is causing a lot of this conversation about why people are supporting and not supporting. Parents that we think we know it all. We think
about parents that are
You know
not
it all.
to their children?
No, I guys, what he's saying is there's some parents that aren't supporting their children in terms of like. So he said that's why we're having this conversation. He's saying that he wouldn't necessarily do that. He would try to take the reasonable and appropriate step.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I appreciate it. I'm new to
You're
this.
very used
That
to
makes
being
sense.
against this, right? So you needed to clarify that. That's okay.
I just think there's a lot of folks that are so closed-minded and believe that they know all when it comes to a child's mind. I'm a parent. I've got a kid in college and then 4 others. So I've been through parenting stages, but I can't say that I know everything. And parents that are standing on the fact that they think that they know all and know that what's good for their child, even though it's another human being, I don't stand with that. But that's all I have to say. That's it.
Unfortunately, there are people every day that come into lives like this and say, I know best for my kids. I know better than a doctor. I know better than a counselor. I know better than anyone who is literally a specialist in this field.
I think that's crap.
I know. They say it with their full chest. It's crazy.
All right. Well, I appreciate allowing me to follow and talk and get some understanding. I appreciate it.
Oh, I didn't realize how much background noise I had. Hello?
Hi. Hello.
Hi, how old are you?
I'm 19.
What year were you born?
2004.
Cool. All right, why don't you support trans kids?
This is gonna sound. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. So if I sound like shit, that's my bad. So it's not that I don't support trans kids, but I do think it comes a lot with the age and what fully transitioning means. So I don't support a child fully transitioning, going on hormones, doing surgeries. I don't support that, but I do completely believe that a child can say, hey, I'm having gender dysphoria. I think, like I am not a girl, I am a boy, or I am not a boy, I'm a girl. I completely believe that a child can very well know that they are not what they were quote unquote born as. But I do not think fully transitioning as a child is
hormones aren't fully isn't fully transitioning. You're not allowed to have surgery in most states, and most doctors won't perform until after the age of 18. But in addition to that, we give HRT and hormones to children who aren't trans. You do know that, right?
Yes. What I'm talking about is injection of hormones, and I'm not talking about hormones that are given to almost every single child or vaccines or anything like that. I'm talking about things that are not supposed to that would not normally be done to children under the age of 18, especially when their mind is not fully developed. I'm 19. I don't even trust myself sometimes. I make stupid decisions. Everyone does when they're young. So I don't think that a child should be able to say, hey,
Gotcha. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Do you know what gender dysphoria is?
yes. I don't, I'm like, what do you mean that's not how it works? I'm talking about why I don't
you don't
support.
just walk into a doctor's office, say, my child, you know what I'm saying, thinks that they're the opposite gender, and then they're like, oh, here's some hormones.
I understand that.
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? It's a very detailed process, as I've explained multiple times already, before they make that determination. But also, I'm going to say it again, we give HRT, which does not have any, you know what I'm saying, like long-term effects on, you know, the body. We give that to children who aren't experiencing gender dysphoria or are not trans.
So I also had a couple questions. Sorry, I'm kind of going off track here. Mel, I think that's your name, right? Mel. You said you had a child who is trans.
Yep.
Okay, and how old are they?
She's 14 and she is on hormone replacement therapy.
Okay. If she came up to you and said she wanted surgery, which you are her legal guardian, you are
Surgery at 14. So
I'm okay. Can I speak? She comes to you and
Just answered your question without you finishing it. She said she cannot legally, whether Mel wanted to or not, which she doesn't, she cannot receive bottom surgery at that
I
point.
didn't finish my question, so she couldn't have answered it if I didn't finish my question. So if she came to you and said she wanted more than the hormones that she is on and wanted more to transition, because, and again, I have no issue with someone transitioning. I have a very diverse family. I have multiple transitioning.
Continue.
Okay. If she wanted more than what she is on and what she is doing to transition, what would you say?
What is the more?
She just said she answered that question before you even asked it. Oh my God. She said no. Mel said that before you finished your question.
It's not something she can get right now. She's 14. She may be eligible for bottom surgery at 17, but we're not there yet. She's 14. So we're going to deal with her right now, where she is currently. We're going to address her symptoms that she has right now.
Okay. And then another thing I wanted to bring up is back to like the whole overlying question is, why don't you support trans kids? And then it says transgender children are losing their essential health care. Do you think it's essential healthcare? Because there is a need and there is a want.
It's absolutely essential. That's why I put the word in there.
And why do you think it's essential?
Because it's life-saving.
It's not life-saving. They're not dying.
It is life-saving. You're not trans. You haven't gone through what we've gone through. I turn to drugs. I turn to alcohol. I turn to unaliving. I turn to chopping off a piece of anatomy. It's life-saving care.
It's not. It's not. It's
you're an idiot.
Life-saving care.
Hold on one second. Let me
You're
give
so
you guys a really quick
privileged
question.
that it doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
So you have this sense of privilege that it just must not be true.
So if you wanted to unalive yourself, minus the gender dysphoria, you're not a part of the trans community.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Unalive yourself. If you want to unalive yourself,
Mhm.
and you were taken to a therapist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and they gave you medication, you know what I'm saying? So you no longer had those unaliving ideations. Is that not care? Is it care? Yes or no?
It's care, but it's not
Okay.
necessary because no matter
Would
what.
it save your life? And would it save your life?
No, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't?
No,
That's the
absolutely
most
not.
ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
It's absolutely
So
not.
getting therapy and getting
And
medication
also, that is not
removes
at
your
all.
ideations to unalive yourself is
We're
not
not
saving your
talking
life.
about therapy. We're
Is
talking
not
about
saving your life.
We
transitioning.
are. Literally, therapy isn't included in this. That's being banned. Absolutely.
What?
And this is United States school system right here.
This, the essential healthcare includes therapy. That is also banned.
Therapy is banned. What?
Yes.
Therapy pertaining to your gender identity, yes.
Okay, are you talking about like actually going to a doctor's office, or are you actually talking about hiring just the therapist? Because I can assure you that anyone that wants to
assure you that my
His
child is
license,
no
it can be
longer
taken from you.
allowed to speak to her therapist. I had to move to another state because gender affirming care was banned. I can assure you that happened.
Okay. I want to go back to the point that I don't think it is life-saving medical care. Life-saving medical care is something where, oh, you're about to lose your life. You're about
Yeah,
to
so if you take your life, if you like end your life, I think that's about to end your life. I think that would be like dying.
Yes, but we're talking about transitioning, not like
If you're going to end your own life and there's some way to treat that, whether it be antidepressants, whether it be anxiety medication, whether it be gender affirming care, that would save your life. It would relieve the distress or the depression or the anxiety to a significant amount that you would be able to function in your daily life without having the ideation to take yourself out of this world. That is life-saving care.
okay.
How can you say that's not life-saving?
I'm not talking about the actual therapy and
That
the
is
gender.
included. That is
Yes,
part
but that's not the inclusion that I am talking about. I am talking about fully transitioning. That's not. I'm not talking about.
Wait, hold on. You keep saying fully transitioning, right?
Yes, as in surgery.
Yes, as in not everyone gets surgery. There is no fully transition. It's different for each individual person. But when we're talking about children, generally, we're not talking about surgery unless, like I said earlier, maybe at 17 for bottom surgery, if the child is going to college and that's a good time for them, very and incredibly rare, right? Or a mastectomy at 16, 17. Other than that, you're generally an adult.
We do these things. We do like mastectomies. We do those for children who don't have gender dysphoria, who aren't trans. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't understand why it is. Yeah, yeah. We do it for young boys. You know what I'm saying? Who have higher levels of estrogen. You know what I'm saying? And start to grow breasts. So I just don't understand why, like, you know, these things are okay. Could you imagine, you know what I'm saying, like being a cisgender male in growing breasts and then having people tease you and things of that nature and wanting to unalive yourself? And then we decide, hey, like, you know, okay, I think the best course of action is for them to have them removed, right? And you're saying, oh, but that's not saving their life. But they want to unalive themselves. And if they don't have said surgery done, they unalive themselves. And you're like, not saving their life.
That has nothing. That exact scenario has nothing to do with transitioning. It is
It has everything to do with gender affirming care. That's affirming their gender.
But it has nothing to do with transitioning.
Why do you
We're
think
talking about gender affirming care.
Why do you keep saying something over and over again, thinking it's true when it's
Because you guys
objectively
keep coming up
false?
with
Actually, it
scenarios
does.
that are
Here,
not
let me
talking
mirror the
about
scenario
transition
for you.
at all.
So Jones was talking about males, like boys who are born with more estrogen, they grow breast tissue from gynecomastia, right? Let's take the example to trans men. They're born female. They grow breasts, but they're boys, and they're going to become men. That causes significant distress. In that case, that would be gender affirming care, and that would be part of your fully transitioning, even though fully transitioning is totally subjective and every trans person does it differently. What about that?
Like, what do you mean? What about that?
You're straight up just against trans kids. All the other scenarios, totally.
I don't understand.
Right, you don't understand, so then you're against it, which is a very
You're
awful
not
way
letting
to live.
me finish at all.
Correct. I'm not letting you finish.
Okay.
What age do you think someone should be able to make these decisions?
I think you can, from the age of 4, 5, 6, whatever, you can understand your own gender. But I don't agree with any actual, like, anything done to
So
your
even
physical
though the
body.
data shows that these people are less likely to unalive themselves, and that before gender affirming care was something that was readily available, people were unaliving themselves. You don't think that, you know what I'm saying, showing that a 40% decrease in unaliving is saving kids' lives? You don't think that, you don't agree with the
Do you
science?
know how many children say this and then they go back on it?
How many?
Yeah, do you know?
Do you?
How many?
Go ahead and look up in a medical center if you
No,
would
how
like.
many?
No. You
How
give
many?
us a source. You made the claim. Give us a source.
You know.
I didn't
We all
make
know.
a
You
claim. I
just
didn't have a percentage.
You
I didn't
did.
have
You
a
asked.
I said
Okay,
you
you're
like,
asking
go
if we
explain.
know, but that would imply that you do know if we don't, and you could educate us or give us a source for it. So, what is the percent?
I don't.
How
I
many?
literally just said I do not have a
Right.
percentage.
You don't know. So maybe you shouldn't have a
It's
fucking
not. It's
conviction
not
about
many.
it.
It's not many, and that's the point. It's not many.
It's
a rare occurrence.
It's
That's
you.
No, it's a rare occurrence.
Okay.
So less than 1%. What less than 1% when the whole entire trans population is like 2%, right? So you're saying that less than 1% of the 2% of the entire trans population is
Didn't
a
say
lot of people.
anything about percentage.
I would just point out that you
So it's
asked.
not-
Okay,
it's
so you
not a lot.
asked the thing. You asked the thing as if you knew, but you said you didn't. Okay, sure. So you're asking if we know the stat, but then we provided you the fact that it's a very significantly low number, and you're like, yeah, okay, as if you don't believe us.
I didn't
So, like,
say I
you want to
didn't
know or
believe you.
not?
You asked me if I had the percentage. I said I didn't have the percentage.
And then we provided you that it's a very small amount, and you just kind of brushed it off like, oh yeah, okay, whatever.
Okay, but no one's mind is even developed. Their brain is not even developed until a certain.
Neither is yours.
Your brain
So
is
what?
fucking
I'm
jello
saying. I
right
said
now.
that
Neither
as
is
soon
yours,
as
so
I
how do you have
joined.
an
I said I am 19 years old and my
Right.
brain
And
is
so
fully
your
developed.
opinion is fucking pudding.
But do you know your gender?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about. That's literally it.
I'm aware. And earlier on the live, you said over 18 is not a child. I am over 18. I can go ahead and say
Can
by
I point
your
out? Can
standards.
I point out something really quickly? So there's a higher regret level for knee surgery. There's a higher regret level for back surgery. There's a higher regret level for dental surgery. There's a higher regret level for cosmetic surgeries than there is, you know what I'm saying, for
For sure. And that's all physical.
Yeah.
That's all physical surgery, which is what, again, when I came into this live, I said, I don't have an issue with someone knowing their gender. I have an issue with transitioning children. Like, not an issue, but
You
it's
don't even know
like-
what that means.
Yeah, you don't know what it means because why do some children get recommended to be put on HRT?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you should get in the fucking chat and listen more before you have an opinion.
I can have an
You have such a strong opinion
before
against
we
this, and you
decide.
don't know what it is or why it happened.
More people regret getting chemotherapy than they do gender affirming surgeries.
Big facts.
Like, why is my daughter on HRT?
I don't know your daughter, so go ahead and tell me.
Why does any child go on it?
No, hold on. Why is your daughter on HRT?
Because her puberty was causing her extreme distress and she was past the point to be able to be recommended to be put on puberty blockers. So the only way that we could help treat that distress was to put her on HRT.
If you went through male puberty, would you be in distress?
I'm not a male, so I wouldn't go.
If you went through
if you
male
did.
puberty, would you be in distress?
Yes, because I'm a female. So
No, because you're a woman.
You're a woman. Yes. So she's a girl. So going through male puberty is extremely distressing.
And is it because of the hormones that she is on?
She was in distress before.
No, it's because of the hormones before.
Precious.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay?
Listen, I've been nice and super kind and respectful to you, but I can understand why you're receiving so much hate and vitriol to other people because they're giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking, and your only response is okay, like shrugging it off as if these aren't real people that we're speaking about. These are real people. These are human beings. I already explained to you providing gender affirming care lowers the self-unaliving rate in trans children, and you won't even address it. You just move on to your next, you know what I'm saying, point of contention. Like, you just don't care. If you want to protect children, right? If we're talking about protecting children, protect them from wanting to take their own lives.
What I mentioned in the
Protect
very
them,
beginning,
protect them from other children bullying them for being
enough.
different.
It's not
let
enough.
me say my piece before I leave.
before-
When
you
listen, I'm
no, you
I'm
listen before you do.
I got a cash app to kick. I was going to say something, but she wants to make it about her. So
I was going to ask her to repeat what Mr. Jones just said.
She wouldn't be able to.
there's so many people that think just validating a kid's identity is enough until they're 18. It is not enough for all kids. It's not enough. It's literally why gender affirming care has a process. Sometimes it includes HRT.
Please speak.
What?
Just people in the chat like, let me talk, let me up. Get in line.
Thank you for the cash app. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, how old are
Hi.
you?
34.
Cool. Why don't you support trans kids?
I just don't think kids know really what they are or who they are yet. I mean, obviously 14, you start to, your body's going through things and you start to realize, like your body's changing and all that stuff. But I just don't think that they have the consciousness enough to decide who they are, what they want to be yet.
We do. We do.
We do.
Right, have fun with this. I'm hungry.
No. You know how
We
many
do.
times
As a
Okay, so
person
let me
who
ask
was
you
a
a
trans
question.
child.
No, you made a claim. Can you back it up with any science?
Abby, I just have a question for you.
Yes.
What did you want to be when you grew up? When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
In reference to what?
Like what occupation? Let's just say that. What occupation did you want to be?
That's not related
Equate
to
to
gender.
gender. It's not
Just
related to
answer.
gender.
Just
No.
answer.
No, because I already know you're gonna be like no, because I already know where you're going with this. You're gonna be like, oh, well, see, it was one thing and then it changed and then it changed. You're gonna say, oh, well, kids can't focus on one job when they're little. So how are they gonna know their gender? I already know where you're going with this.
Abby,
let me Abby,
I
am not a pharmacist.
Let me answer. I wanted to be a firefighter, Amber.
And did you become a firefighter?
For 8 years, I did, and I'm transgender.
Okay. Did you change that thought at all? Did you ever want to be
Not at
something
all.
else?
Not at all. I became a firefighter. And you know
for
what?
most
You know what
children-
else? You know what else? I'm going back to firefighting.
For most children, good for you. Thank you for that.
Oh, look, I told you, I called your point. Look where you're going now.
Yeah. So most
But
people,
look, I
most
have
people
a
go to college.
9-year-old.
Hey, listen.
Last
most
week-
people go to college. Most people go to college for a specific degree, right? And because they think that that's what they
Okay.
want to do, and then they end up, you know what I'm saying, working in that field or not working in that field. But none of those things equate to their gender. None of them. And they're adults when they do that. They're adults when they go to college.
It's the same thing, though. I'm making a
No,
point.
it's
of
not.
the same thing. Changes what they want and what they
Me
don't
going to
want.
college to become a music therapist is not the same fucking thing as me being gender fluid at all whatsoever. Zero correlation.
Did you want to be what
Let's
you
just
became,
say a
Amber?
boy.
Hey, Amber, did
Let's
you
just
want to
say
be
a
what
boy
you
wants to be a
became?
girl.
Hey, Amber, did you want to be what you
They don't.
became?
No, and that's the point. I wanted to be a lot of
Well,
different
okay.
things. I
No,
wanted
actually, I
to
wanna
be
go
a
with
police
that.
officer, then
Okay.
I wanted to be a lawyer,
So-
then I wanted to be a chef.
so-
but I know that I'm a woman.
Now everyone's gonna laugh at me for being the so okay. So you said earlier, what if a boy wants to be a girl? You're already wrong. Boys don't want to be girls. You're
Trans
already wrong.
boys want to be little girls, and not
No, they
boys.
don't. Well, first off, your terminology is wrong. Second off, trans girls were never boys. Trans boys were never girls. So you're
Am I saying
already
I got
wrong.
tokenized cancer patients. I never said anything about cancer patients. What are y'all talking about? I never.
They're
once
going back to when you did chemotherapy. I think Hall said it.
I didn't say that. That wasn't me. That was Hall.
That chemotherapy regret is higher than regret of transitional surgery. Look, if you
Anyway.
don't
Okay, but
believe
what
me,
if?
fucking look it
What
up.
if now? So Mel, I'm talking to you specifically. So you said your daughter's wanting to transition, correct?
Wanting to transition. She's a girl, and we are taking steps to affirm her gender.
Okay, so what if she takes all these hormones and then later on in life wants to not be a girl and decides that her gender is a boy?
Same talking points
And
every
then
time.
doesn't that cause harm to her body?
What if she's happier than ever and goes on to be everything that she ever wanted to be? What if?
But is that a risk that you're willing to
No,
take?
shut up. Your what ifs don't fucking matter. We have so much evidence that shows the thing that you are somehow scared of that doesn't even fucking affect you doesn't happen at any regularity that fucking matters. So using
You're
that
just saying
statistic,
saving
shut
kids'
up, I'm
lives,
not done
right?
talking. So using that to make sure that no one has access to life-saving care is fucking stupid, Amber.
I'm not saying that
Yes, you are.
no
You
one
are
should.
saying that.
I'm saying an adult can. An adult can do whatever they want.
Because it's this idea that we as parents can get our kids to 18 and be like, well, whatever decisions they make now, nothing to do with me.
No, I'm saying at 14
to
I understand that. But I'm saying at 14 to put a child on hormones and all that stuff, and then later on in life they don't want to be that anymore, you're harming your child's body.
Right.
Her fucking puberty was causing her distress. That's what was happening. That's what we needed to stop.
Amber, have you ever done anything that you
Everybody's
regret?
puberty causes distress.
Hey, Amber, have you ever
Yes,
done
it
anything that you
does.
regret? Have you ever done anything that you regret that you can't change?
Absolutely.
Were you an adult when you made that decision?
Yes, I was.
Then what's your fucking point?
I was an adult.
You can still regret shit as an adult.
I know, but I'm not going to put my child through something that she's going to regret later on in life.
This
Nobody's
isn't on
forcing a
you.
kid to do anything.
This is not on you. You're not the main point here. The child is the main point. So if they end up regretting it, that's not fucking on you.
So that's their choice as a child. So if my child wants to drink at this age, I should just let her?
No!
You're so fucking stupid, Amber. Leave the app forever. Go away.
Amber,
I'm not
I did
stupid.
not.
I'm making a point and y'all don't like it.
No, you're not. You're making 0 points. What does drinking have to do with fucking anything? What is the benefit of a
I'm
child
saying
drinking?
if you're allowing your
Amber,
kid to
shut
just
up and
decide
listen to
what
my
they want to
question.
do
I
with their
didn't
life
finish asking the
now.
question. What is the fucking medical benefit of a child drinking alcohol?
What is the medical benefit for a child to transition?
I will answer that question when you answer
themselves.
mine.
They don't unalive themselves. That's the benefit.
Now answer my question. What is the medical benefit of a child drinking alcohol, Amber?
I'm making a point.
Amber,
Answer the question.
I'm answering the question. You won't let me fucking finish.
You're not.
Let me finish. Please don't interrupt me. I'm making a point as a child should not
don't make
have
a point.
grown
Answer
up
the question
decisions.
without asking a
A
question.
child should not have the right to do whatever they want.
Okay, what is the medical
They
benefit
don't know
of
what
child
they
drinking
want.
alcohol, Amber?
Be a freaking parent.
Hold on 1 second. Hey, Two Spirit is funny as I don't know what. Hey, listen, really quickly, because I'm about to hop off because you're making my head hurt. But listen, so they're not making medical decisions. Their parents and then a group of physicians are making medical decisions the same way as if that child had a life threatening illness because their life is in danger, because their life is in fact in danger. You would contact the appropriate, you know what I'm saying, specialist to make sure that your child has the best life possible, right? That's what you would do.
So it is an illness.
If your child was suffering from any illness that could potentially threaten their lives, you personally as a parent, right, you are obligated to do whatever you can in your power to make sure that you make their life as comfortable and extend their life to the best of your ability, right?
So you
Right?
say yes, and you say any illness, right? So transgender is an illness, is what you're confirming.
I didn't say that. Yeah,
See, you're not even fucking listening.
Yeah, you're just
trying
looking to
listen to
say more
respond.
rude shit, and I don't appreciate that.
Amber, we
Gender
just call it
dysphoria
like
is
we
something
just
that
call
needs
it like we
treatment,
see it.
and the
Amber.
only way you can
Just like your profile says, we call it like we see it, and you're a fucking idiot.
I'm calling like I see it too, and I just disagree with you guys, and you just don't like it.
You have no reason, like you have nothing to back up your disagreement, though. You're just saying, "Oh, well, I don't think so."
You know what? Let's really dig into it. So you don't like, we get it. You don't like trans people. What about, I don't know.
I didn't say that. I never said that.
Oh no, that's
I
what
said
we.
I don't.
That's what I.
No,
like
actually,
trans
hold,
children.
let me correct you. She doesn't like trans people until they become 18, and she can agree with them.
Okay, so
Except they're not going to make it to fucking 18 because, under her view, and the view of the Republican Party, and the view of the people she's probably voting her ass off for, they don't want them to make it 18. So you'll never agree with trans people.
So you're saying all trans people who don't get their gender affirmed at or all kids that don't get
I'm not saying
affirmed
all. I never said all.
unalive themselves.
Did I say the word all in there?
I'm just saying, you're saying they're not going to make it to 18 if this does not happen now.
Hey, how about
more than half of them will not make it to 18?
Hey, Amber, more than fucking half.
More than half. What data do you have to back that up?
The Transgender U.S. Survey of 2015.
So 50%.
Yes.
56% specifically.
Of all
closer
transgender
to
kids.
3/5 of them will not make it to 18. And over 80% of them have at least ideation to take themselves out of this world.
Maybe something you should have looked up before you had a fucking opinion.
All I know is that children shouldn't decide what they want to do.
And now you're going back to what you before we told you anything.
Take that information and digest it before you fucking open your rat trap.
Listen.
Okay.
56% of trans kids don't exist to the age of 18. They don't make it that far because they take themselves out of this world. 80% total, at least consider it. If not, try it. If not, do it. Because of people like you, because of people like the Republican Party who are actively advocating against their health care that they need to survive. Listen to those numbers again. Over 80% consider it. Over 50% do it.
And 58% of people who detransition.
58%? Where are you pulling this number from?
Online, look it up.
Amber, you're just
What's
making
the source?
You are the worst type of person. Everyone,
MayoClinic.com.
Hey, you know what?
The
Everyone fucking report
MayoClinic.com.
Amber for misinformation. Fuck you, Amber. Get off this fucking app forever.
The Mayo Clinic isn't even a .com, dummy.
Look up Mayo Clinic. That's what it's on.
I did. It's a
58%.
.org, dummy.
I hope your kids are healthy until they're adults because I don't want you making any decisions with healthcare.
I don't let my kid make her own decisions.
Mayo
so
Clinic,
I don't know why
58%.
you
There's
live there.
nothing.
I don't let my kids make their
Yes,
own.
there
decisions.
is.
Amber, you're already bullshit. You said
He's
MayoClinic.com,
making a choice
and Mayo Clinic isn't even a
transition.
.com.
It's a choice.
No,
Amber,
it's
how
not.
many-
Oh my god. Wait. No, it's not a fucking choice. If I could choose, I would choose to be a cishet white man. I would.
So do it.
But I don't
Make
get to
that
choose
choice.
that I'm not cis. No, I can't. You don't fucking understand. I don't choose to be oppressed. I don't choose to have to fight for my life every single day. I don't choose to have to deal with bigots like you advocating for children and adult health care. I don't choose that. I didn't ask for that. Instead, I have to put up with people like you who know nothing and still vote for stuff because you're not informed on anything. You're like, well, I feel this way. I think this way. I think it's a choice. I think it's a mental illness. I think you deserve to not fucking to exist on this earth anymore.
Wait,
I'm fucking sick of it.
Let's drill into what Amber just fucking brilliantly said. What do you want to do with people?
Oh,
I'll just get beat.
Where'd he go?
I don't know.
I'm guessing I got beat.
It didn't say it, but maybe.
It's not a fucking choice. And then once you understand that, you'll understand why those 56% and those over 80% are so fucking significant. Because if it was a choice, why would they choose to do this and then choose to take themselves out of this world?
I don't know, to fill some sort of agenda. I don't know. Who knows?
Fill agenda by killing themselves?
Make your percentages higher so y'all have something to talk about.
Killing the wait, they're gonna be martyrs so that we can continue trans care?
The person who should have got beans is this person right here. What?
I'll probably get a 2% killing themselves. I don't fucking care. And she left.
I don't know. I got the same thing I got with Hull, and Hull got beaten. So hopefully, fuck the way people fucking argue against trans kids is just unbelievable. Okay. And when people can't see like where our anger and like passion is coming from, like just
Hello?
I don't know. Hello. How old are you?
19.
Cool. Why don't you support trans kids?
The kid, like, are you talking about like trans, like kids that are under 18?
Yep.
The reason why I don't support them is because their like their brain isn't fully developed. So like
So sick of this. This is so
You can't make any decisions either.
me?
Ever. Yeah.
Well, my brain is more developed than kids.
Doesn't matter. It's not fully developed. So you whatever decision, whatever opinion you're saying doesn't matter then.
Why doesn't mine?
Well, because you said that their brain's not fully developed, and your brain isn't fully developed until 25, even though it's not the part of the brain that has to do with gender, or the part of the brain that has to do with any of this stuff. That's the different part of the brain. So, like, your brain doesn't matter. But if we're going to argue this, then your opinions don't matter either, because you're not 25, or 26, or 27, whatever the age is.
So does your opinion matter? Because how old are you then?
No, apparently it doesn't, according to you. Except, again, I'm aware that the part of the brain we're talking about is not the same part as what we're dealing with.
Nacho's getting in the trash. I'll be right.
So why does the kids that are like young get to decide what they get to be in life?
They're not
No.
deciding what they get to be in life. You don't decide to be trans. If you heard what the fuck I just went off in that last lady for, you don't choose to be trans. You don't choose to have to transition. Gender dysphoria isn't a choice. Being trans isn't a choice.
So what?
Oh, that must have been banned. She's gone in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah, there's.
Love you, Mom.
I just wanted to make you both smile because that was pretty stressful. That's all.
Oh gosh, this topic is just so rough. Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
All right. How old are you?
21.
Cool. Why don't you support trans kids? Thank you.
So I don't agree with giving kids hormones, and I definitely don't agree with giving children surgery. But I think if a child has an incongruence with their sex, then they should at least be able to seek a therapist. I agree with that. However, I think with that, I think the method in which they do give these kids therapy is wrong. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the CAS review from the UK.
Let me guess, you're going to go down the route to the UK ban gender affirming care for whatever, right?
No, they haven't banned it. They haven't banned it.
You know why they're looking at it again, though?
Why are they looking at it again?
Because they're looking at the results and they're looking at the way they do it and realizing the WPATH guidelines, the way America does it, is actually the best case scenario we have right now. That's why European countries are re-looking at gender affirming care.
What do you mean WPATH? What do you mean by that?
WPATH is the standard of care that the U.S. follows for gender affirming care for especially for children, but trans people in general, who are receiving gender affirming care. And so there's WPATH guidelines that the U.S. follows. The European countries are looking and saying, hey, we'd like to do more research in our own countries because it doesn't exist as much, which cool. More research, always welcome. But they're also recognizing that the way they did it is not as good or not as well monitored or whatever the specific reason is compared to the way the U.S. does it.
Does the U.S. follow
UK
the...
and France and Denmark, Sweden, all of them like re-looking at it and stuff.
Does the U.S. follow the gender affirming model?
They followed the WPATH model, WPATH standard of care.
Okay, so this review anyway, one of the conclusions that she found was that the majority of these children who have an incongruence with their sex, that incongruence doesn't continue once they reach adolescence. So I think, when you start to give hormones or even these surgeries, which has happened in the UK, to children as young as 13, I just think that's totally wrong, because this report was last year and she's found that the incongruence doesn't follow to adolescence most of the time. So what you're doing is you're giving these children irreversible treatment and surgeries when they don't have the understanding of what that involves later on in life.
So, what surgery are you referencing? Because the youngest bottom surgery performed in the world was at 16 years old in Germany.
Top surgery.
Top surgery to a 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So, what were they removing at 13?
Breasts.
What breasts?
What do you mean, what breasts?
Do you think breasts are fully developed at 13 years old?
Children go through puberty at different ages.
I understand that. So
Wait a
we're looking at
minute.
a precocious puberty situation then.
But that's irrelevant. We're talking about transgender children.
Wait a second. Why did the 13-year-old get a double mastectomy?
This is a transgender child who identifies as a man, as a boy.
And do you have the name?
That's why. I don't have their name. There was a study, and the ages range from 13 to 17 years old.
Okay, I'm gonna go look for it.
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this cast review. I'm not looking at the actual report itself, but I'm looking on like the website and like key points. This is cast.independent-review.uk. Looking at like key points of the interim report. I assume that's what we're looking at, probably. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's an NHS document as well that summarizes the findings.
Yeah, well, so key points, right? It's saying rapid increase in number of children reporting support and complex in the current clinical model with a single national provider is not sustainable, and essentially says key points moving forward. All kids with gender incongruence or dysphoria must receive the same standards of clinical care, assessment, and treatment as every other child accessing health services. And the reviews research program will not just build the evidence base in the UK, but also contribute to the global evidence base, meaning that young people, their families, carers, and their clinicians supporting them can make more informed decisions about the right path for them. So they're looking at, it says a fundamentally different service model is needed, which is more aligned with other pediatric provision to provide timely and appropriate care for children and young people needing support around their gender identity. So again, it just goes with what I said. They're looking at it and reviewing it and realizing that the model they follow right now is not the best it can be and is not sustainable, and that they need to look at it and change the way they run it.
I'd also like to add to this. I am searching for these sources. I can't find any. There's only one case of a 13-year-old receiving a double mastectomy, which was already documented in the United States and California, and it's been seen as being out of line. It was not following WPATH. So, Rec King, I'd like you to provide a source that this happened in the UK at 13 years old.
Yeah, I can try and find that. But anyway, Abby, to what you were saying, I would like to add on that as well. So I don't disagree with you that potentially the way that they're giving these treatment to kids is wrong and that they should change it. That's fine. But what the some of the findings were from the report as well is that the doctors who were providing this treatment, whether it be therapy or hormones or whatnot, they couldn't even agree on whether or not to give these kids the care that they needed. They couldn't even come to a consensus themselves. So I feel like this is like, even among doctors, they can't decide whether or not a child should have this therapy.
That's
so
because they're not following the same standards of care. That's what I just read to you. They said the model they have right now isn't long-term sustainable. It's also not consistent. So they want to do more research and look at other models to determine the best way to make the most consistent care across the board for kids who have gender incongruence or gender dysphoria.
Mhm. Okay. Another thing that I'm concerned about as well is that I feel like a lot of these children who have this incongruence, they often are struggling with other forms of mental health as well, and other disabilities, and that it outlines that in the report as well. I feel like these kids are often struggling with other things, and I think in the report it says in like 2012 there was 250 referrals to the NHS for the incongruence, whereas last year there was over 5,000. And you guys are going to say that's because it's more socially acceptable to get this treatment, but I just don't think that's the case. I think mental health among children is getting so much worse, and I think that might be responsible for it.
I mean, it could be a combination of both, right? Also, Buzzy's asking to come up, Mel, if you want to bring Buzzy up. It could be a combination of both, right? So like it can be a thing of like social acceptance and realizing, hey, there are more people out there like me, and more like realizing they're not alone and they're not like weird or off for having these things, right? But also, yeah, we can acknowledge mental health is getting worse. But just because they have mental health things doesn't mean that the gender dysphoria was caused from that. Like we can recognize that they can be comorbid. Yeah. And of course,
But this
at
is
the
an
same
opinion
time,
that I have, though. It says it like Dr. Cass she says it herself in the report that she's not like she doesn't know, like they still need to do more research on whether or not these kids should receive treatment because they're not sure if there are underlying other mental health conditions that are causing it.
Wait, hold on a second. And I know Buzzy can add to this like exponentially, but why do you think there would be why do you think depression would occur in someone experiencing gender dysphoria?
I can understand that, but it's not just talking about depression.
Okay, well, what are can you list these? Because you're being very ambiguous.
Okay, if I get the report up, I can. It's fine. Hang on.
So I'm going to say that a lot of this is based on feeling and opinion and not actual fact, to the point where I'm going to ask you if you know how incongruence works, like if you know what that looks like. And also the understanding, if you know how the diagnostic process works, at least here in the United States of America, we might have a different W path than the UK, but I don't believe it's too far off. Also, to Artemis's point, I too looked it up, and there's only been one documented case that I can find of a 13-year-old at which they have decided that that was against the W path for the United States of America. Because typically, if top surgery is performed, it is due to precocious puberty, and it is removing the excess tissue. It can happen in males and females, but essentially what precocious puberty does in some that have been diagnosed with it is it causes an overproduction of growth in the breast tissue. And in some cases, it gives the males actual predominant very breast, and they go in to remove that tissue. The reason why it is considered a gender affirming surgery is because that child can choose what they want their chest to look like. They can choose how much of that tissue is taken out, how much of that tissue is left, how flat or concave the chest is. The child gets to do that within reason as long as it meets medical standards.
What's that in reference to? Sorry, that surgery that you talk about.
That's top surgery. Also, top surgery does not just happen to children that are trans. It's any child. Any child can be diagnosed with precocious puberty.
Okay, so if we let's say we put aside the fact that I said the youngest was 13, so perhaps I got the number wrong. But at what age do you think is it acceptable to cut off a child's breast?
So it's not the cutting off of a child's breast. It's quite literally an incision to remove chest tissue, breast tissue. That is not supposed to be there. It is quite literally the removal of tissue. And the child and the doctor together can determine what the appropriate amount of tissue is that needs to be moved, and the child can decide how they want their chest to look.
Right, but what do you mean that it's not necessary? Like it's part of the body. I don't see what you're talking about.
Precocious puberty caused the overgrowth of breast tissue, meaning that there are males that can develop B cups, C cups. It also can do the same for females. We see it most commonly in males. And it's the
You talking about gyno?
What?
Are you talking about gyno? Sorry.
No, I'm talking about breast tissue.
Was it gynomastia, whatever it's called? A lot of guys have it.
Yes, you're talking about gynecomastia.
Yeah, is that what you're talking about? You said males have it.
Males have it. Females get it as well. Gynecomastia can occur in males and females.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
And it's the removal of breast tissue, and it is a result of having precocious puberty. And when it is removed, the child and the doctor can decide what that child's chest looks like.
Mm-hmm. And you think that should be the same for transgender kids?
This is applying to all children. Doesn't matter whether the child is trans or not. This happens across the board. If a child is trans, they're trans, but that has nothing to do with the fact that they have precocious puberty. Precocious puberty is monitored by a child endocrinologist. This has nothing to do with a therapist or a psychologist. This is also seen through blood work. And it is monitored carefully.
Okay, but I'm talking about adolescents that have the incongruence with their sex. I'm not talking about the
It's considered an incongruence. We don't usually give children the title of trans until they reach a certain age when you can see that there is something clearly happening. We do acknowledge there's an incongruence, and the goal of that is to fix the incongruence. But that has nothing to do with whether or not they have precocious puberty. Hell,
what age is that?
For some kids, precocious puberty can be the reason for their incongruence, and through monitoring medication and getting that worked out, that solves the incongruence.
Mm-hmm. What age? You said there was an age where you can determine if someone is transgender. What age is that?
We don't determine through age. Typically, when a child, if we're talking about title, we actually be a teenager. When we look at teenagers and we see that everything we've tried for incongruence is not working, and that's typically when they would receive a diagnosis, and that takes years upon years. And usually that would be around 16.
Okay, but that's where I just disagree. Though I don't think we should be allowing a 16-year-old to make that decision.
Can I ask you a question? What's the difference between 16 and 18? This is something that completely blows my mind. Rhett King, what happens at 18 that doesn't happen at 16?
18 is when, as a society, we decide that you become an adult and you can make decisions for yourself.
Why? What was it based off of?
What was it based off of? I don't know, but as a society, that's just what it is.
No, it's based off of voting. You're talking about legality. Like, I highly recommend all of you actually look into why we chose 18. It's very fascinating. In fact, we used to have 21 as the voting age in America until the 1970s when we shipped people off to war. 18 is an arbitrary number. And like doctors have been trying to tell you this for a long time, that when we're looking at 16, 17, 18, there's no difference.
Right, but right, you're talking about voting. Maybe that was why it was introduced, fine, but at least in the UK, right, to drink you have to be 18. The age of consent is 16, but to have sex is 18. Yes, the age of voting is 18.
But like that's what I'm talking about. Why is age of consent 16 but not 18?
Sorry.
Why is age of consent 16 but not 18?
It's 16 with another 16-year-old.
Okay, yeah. Why? Why is that okay?
Why is that okay?
Yeah, why can you choose at 16 years old to have intercourse legally with another 16-year-old?
It's their choice. What are you talking about?
Wait, but wait. But I thought they aren't mature enough until 18. Why are they allowed to make that choice at 16?
Right, but there's a big difference between having sex with someone and cutting off part of your body. Like, it's completely different.
You don't get surgery in the United States of America before the age of 18. I don't know what the UK standards are, but your W path is not that different from ours. In the United States of America, surgeries don't happen until 18 unless you have precocious puberty and you have gynecomastia. As a result, you can have the excess tissue removed. That has nothing to do with being trans or not. Precocious puberty is a diagnosis across the board for females and male children that experience precocious puberty. It is diagnosed by a pediatric endocrinologist, and it is monitored closely through blood work. This has nothing to do with mental health, psychiatry, or a therapist. This is quite literally a diagnosis.
Okay, so you just said that it doesn't happen before 18, but then a minute ago you said that they do perform these surgeries on 16-year-olds. So which one is it?
What I said was, in specific incidents, if a child is diagnosed with precocious puberty, and because of precocious puberty, they have gynecomastia, meaning that they have excess breast tissue, top surgeries can be performed if the child wants to remove that excess tissue because it is not supposed to be there.
How is it precocious puberty at 16 years old? What are you talking about?
Oh my God.
That is not what I said. Fucking hell! I just asked you specifically
But
why.
I'm not talking about puberty. I'm
As a
talking about
matter of fact, the
children
question
who
I
are
asked you
transgender.
before
You're
this.
just changing it.
No, I didn't. As a matter of fact, I asked you before Artemis started talking when she was asking about the 16 and 16. I asked you before this what happens to the body at 16. Is a child still taking puberty blockers at 16?
I don't know. You tell me.
I'm asking you, is a child still taking puberty blockers at 16?
I don't know. You tell me.
You apparently know a lot. So is a child taking puberty blockers at 16?
Again, I don't know. You tell me.
No. Do you know why a child would not be taking puberty blockers at 16?
Why not?
I know, I know, Buzzy.
Please, Artemis.
It's because puberty isn't occurring any longer.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask again. Do you think it's okay for a 16-year-old female who believes that they're a man to cut off their breasts?
Under WPATH in the United States of America and the UK, that does not happen. The only way top surgery is performed in adolescence is if that child got diagnosed with precocious puberty, and as a result of precocious puberty, they developed gynecomastia. Not every child diagnosed with precocious puberty gets gynecomastia. Gynecomastia is a complication of precocious puberty.
Okay, and what do you believe? Do you think that should be? Do you think they should allow that?
I don't have to believe anything when we know the facts,
Oh,
as I
okay,
just
right.
told you.
Okay.
I don't have an opinion on this. We have data that backs it up, and we have a medical pathway for this for a reason. I don't have to believe anything. This is the facts.
Okay.
At 16
All
years
right, well-
old, puberty is no longer occurring. The children, 16-year-old children, are no longer taking puberty blockers. And surgery does not happen at that age. Surgery cannot happen until 18.
Right. So, I don't know. I've heard online that things like HRT in rare cases can cause infertility. Is that right?
HRT is not puberty blockers. They are not the same.
Okay, but
They're heavily
does my question still stand or no?
Yeah, no, we could talk about it. It's heavily monitored, and also they do offer you the ability to freeze eggs or freeze sperm just in case if that is something that you fear. But once again, it's really hard to procreate if you're not alive anymore, which is what HRT is helping
Okay.
out.
Also, it's an
I knew
additional cost.
I
for
knew you were
anybody
going to say
else.
that. I just knew you were going to say that, and I think
That's
it's
not-
really disgusting, right? That that's your argument is that
It's not.
you have
It's
to
not an
agree with
argument,
our
it's a
ideology, otherwise these kids are going to kill themselves. Like it's
Wrecking. Did you know that chemotherapy can make you infertile? Should we wait until the
Chemotherapy-
child is like old?
What's
Like, yeah,
the
did you know that
alternative? No. What's the
puberty can make you
alternative to not
infertile as
taking the
well.
chemo?
Well, I
What's
don't
the
know.
alternative to
Recky,
not
you tell
taking
me.
chemo?
What's the alternative to not taking HRT?
Precocious puberty can make you
You
infertile as
can't
well.
compare
There
the
are a
two.
million and one things
You
that can make you
cannot
infertile.
compare the two. That is a
What do you
ridiculous
mean?
comparison.
Both can end
If you
in
don't take
unaliving.
chemotherapy,
Both
you
can
will
end in
die to the cancer
both can end in
100% of the time.
unaliving. I don't understand. I'm confused.
Not true. Some
If you
people
don't
believe
take
in a holistic
chemotherapy,
herbal approach. People don't take chemotherapy. Some people believe in herbs.
listen. If
And they
you
don't always
don't take
die.
that chemo, you are going to die 100% of the
That's not
time.
true.
right?
No, that's actually not true.
That's not true. Some people take the
Okay,
herbal
all right.
approach.
You obviously
Some
don't know how
people go-
cancer works.
Correct, because some
Right.
people take the herbal approach and they also change their diet drastically and they do not do chemo. Actually, the doctor to give you options for whether or not you want to take chemo. If you choose not to take chemo, you can take a herbal approach. There are holistic doctors for that very reason. That's why the holistic practice exists. So no, you
Right.
don't 100% die from cancer if you don't take chemo. You
Okay,
still have
but
a
the doctor will give you a percentage chance of your odds of survival if you don't do it, right? And a lot of the times that odds of survival will be very, very low if you don't take the chemo. Like I can't believe you're comparing the two. It's ridiculous. Like you're
because it's
comparing people who die of
life-saving
cancer to
treatment.
children who have this belief of what they aren't. Like it's ridiculous.
This is the issue. You're ridiculous. You've been asking questions in a disingenuous manner this entire time. It's not a belief. Children are who they are. How did you know you were a man?
Also, we give you the answers. We give you the easy, verifiable answers, and you do not like the answers because you don't agree with them because of your feelings. And then when I don't agree with you because of the fact-based answers that I give you, you ask me about my feelings. I don't have to have feelings when I know these facts exist and we can easily verify those with sources. Anything that I have said and anything that Artemis has said that you could easily pull up. Absent of feelings, this is just what it is, objective fact.
Right, but okay, so you have your statistics, that's fine, right? But when people talk about morality with you, about what we're doing to children, that's when you guys bring up the whole, oh, well, if you don't do it, then the children are going to kill themselves argument. It's ridiculous.
Morals are based
It's not
on
a
feelings.
ridiculous argument. It's literally facts.
Right,
It's not,
morals
because
are based on
in the
feelings. These
worst
are
way
not my
possible, you're
feelings. These are
guilt tripping
objective
people
facts.
into believing what you believe.
It's not a
It's actually
guilt trip.
disgusting.
It's
We
not a
wouldn't
guilt
say
when it's
it.
objective fact.
We wouldn't say it if we had
Objective fact.
statistics that didn't back this up. We say this because that's what the studies show.
Right, objective fact is absent of feeling. It is what it is, regardless of how I feel about those objective facts. That does not change the fact that it is the objective truth. You can feel your feelings. You are entitled to your feelings 100%. But the objective fact will still remain regardless of how you feel.
Thoughts of unaliving and unaliving attempts are reality for transgender children. So you can't just ignore that.
Also, I'm really tired of this narrative that mental health issues are not as dire as physical health issues. Like your mental state is just as important as your physical state. They go hand in hand. We need to stop acting like because that cancer might be unaliving you faster than your mental state, that deserves treatment more than somebody who is suffering from unaliving ideation. They are both just as dangerous.
And we have to understand that the goal is always to fix the incongruence, regardless of what it takes to fix the incongruence. That's why you start gender affirming care as early as you can to see if you can figure out what has caused that incongruence and fix it. And that does not have to get you to puberty blockers. That does not have to get you to HRT. For some children, fixing the incongruence is as simple as respecting their autonomy, letting them pick out their clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Allowing them to change their hair. Fixing an incongruence can be simple or it can be hard.
Yes, unaliving like the S word. We can't say the S word on TikTok.
Hello.
Hi, can I get your age?
43.
Fantastic. Why do you not support trans kids?
So I don't support it because it's a mental condition. Mental health should be looked at before we just go and start
Yep.
allowing. Yeah. So mental health should be looked at before we should start allowing children.
Can we pause for a misinformation check?
Okay.
Can we pause for a misinformation check? If you are diagnosed with being transgender, that is not a mental illness. As a matter of fact, you can pull it up in the DSM-5.
It's called
You can pull it up
DSM.
in the
sweetheart.
DSM-5.
It's called dysphoria. It's a mental disorder, sweetheart.
Dysphoria
It's
and
called
being
DSM.
transgender
Hold
are
on.
not the same
Hold
thing.
on. Let me speak and then I'll
You
let you
can have
speak. It's called
dysphoria
DSM.
and not be transgender.
It's a mental disorder.
Being transgender
Let me
and
ask you
having
this.
dysphoria
Let me
are
ask you
not the
this.
same thing.
What is
Not
your background
everybody
in the
who is
medical? What is your
transgender.
I'm so glad
background
you
in the
asked Buzzy
medical
that.
field?
I'm so glad you
What is
asked
your
me.
background in the medical field?
I have a license in early childhood growth and development, and I currently work in
You
social
have a
services as a
license
case
in
manager.
early childhood. Sweetheart, do you know what I do? Do you know what I do?
What do you do?
Realistically, though,
Hold on.
realistically, anybody could have a license for early childhood. I was in high school for
Was that
early
another
childhood.
person? I'm gonna need your age before you continue on your
I'm
shit.
18. She's
I
18.
didn't
She's
get
2005.
mine in high school.
2005.
I didn't get mine in high
She has a
school.
degree. She has her early childhood development, and she's 18 years old. So realistically,
I
a
didn't get
high
mine in
school
high school.
student
I
can
went
get
to
that.
school for it in college. You can get it in college.
She
I'm in college.
and
That's a
she's
whole
in
thing.
college too. And she's in
I'm
college
glad
too.
she's in college. I'm
So
not in college.
so
I've
hold on.
graduated.
So
I'm glad that you feel that way.
in the doctor's office that I work in, mind you,
This
I'm a
is not
registered nurse.
this has nothing to do with the
Mind you,
doctor's
I'm a
office.
registered nurse. So if we
You
want to
can
get,
be
because
a trauma
I
register if
have
you
to take
want.
Wait,
Trauma
you're not a
psychology in
psychologist and you're
order.
not a
And
psychiatrist, then why the
I
hell are
had
you
to take,
talking?
wait, hold
I'm
on.
sorry, you're
I
just
had
an
to take
RN.
psychology. You have to take psychology
Are
in
you
order
a
to become a
psychologist?
registered nurse.
Are you a
You have to go
psychologist?
to,
Are you a
you have to
psychologist?
take
Are you a psychologist?
psychology.
Are you a
Yes.
psychologist?
You know
Are
what?
you
I have the
You are
classes
not
for
a
psychology. Are you
psychologist?
a psychologist? Are you
I'm a
one?
biologist.
You're a biologist.
Mhm.
So you're giving out, you're trying to give out psychologist information, and you're a
No,
bi-
I'm
you're a
not. You're the
biologist.
one sitting up here acting like
No,
you
no,
have
no,
some
no, no,
authority
no.
on this
Listen,
when you're an RN.
you guys,
I
I've
quite
watched you
literally
guys for
told you where you could
several
get the
days, and you've given
information
so much
because I had to
misinformation
take the
about
courses
the
in it for the purposes
hypothalamus
of my
gland
license.
and about
Are you a
DSM. You guys are giving
neurologist?
You
so
do not
much
have the information about the
misinformation.
DSM-5
So
or the
okay, but
hypothalamus.
go ahead.
Where's gender
I'm gonna let
developed
you
at?
go ahead because you can, because I can
Where
do the
is
same
gender
thing, go
developed
on and
at?
get the same
Where is
answer.
gender developed
So
in the
go ahead.
brain? Where is gender developed in the brain?
So what do you think gender is
Where
developed in
is
the brain?
gender developed in the
Because you
brain?
guys
I
keep
asked
saying,
you.
you guys keep saying the hypothalamus gland this and the
No
hypothalamus
Where
gland
is
glands.
gender developed in the
No,
brain?
why are we been? Glands have never been mentioned.
I've never said anything about
Yes,
glands. Have you said anything about
yes,
glands
you
on
guys
here?
Nope, I've
have.
said
We've
Like I
talked
said,
about
I've
glands
been
on here.
watching this.
Really
I've been
not.
watching this
then you
for a
would know
few
we say
days,
no.
and
Because
the
the
amount.
hypothalamus is definitely not a
So
gland. What are you talking about?
so wait a minute.
It says fetal brain develops in the male direction through a
No,
direction actual terrestrial one.
exactly. But
I'm sorry,
but
what
hold
was
on.
that? I'm sorry, would you like
No,
to,
I said
Judge,
where
reiterate
They
that?
keep
gender is
going up.
developed in the
So
brain.
what is it? What is it? So this is what I'm saying, and this is what I wanna understand,
Okay,
because
could you
it
speak to
is
your point?
considered. It is anytime, and I've worked for plastic surgeons. We have 3 psychologists in the actual office because we get a lot of people come in and ask about reassignment surgeries and things like that. So it is classified. This it is classified for American Diagnostic and it is classified as a disorder, and it is classified as a mental health
What is
issue.
it?
You're talking
Wait,
about gender
Mel, I'm going to
dysphoria.
bring up the classification that mentions it's not transgender, that there's a difference.
Can you also pull up in the DSM-5 what it says about gender dysphoria? Because gender dysphoria and being transgender are not the same thing. Not everybody who is transgender has gender dysphoria. That's the difference. You can be transgender and not have dysphoria, which is what I started saying. That is why being transgender is not classified as a mental illness. Having dysphoria is a diagnosis separate from being trans. What in the absolute fuck?
Where did our expert go?
Maybe she's consulting with her daughter, who is in school for something. Who knows? Also, to talk about where gender is developed, it's in the 3rd interstitial space. That's where gender is developed, in the 3rd interstitial space.
I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So what did you say?
I said,
Gender?
where did the expert go? Because you left. So you're saying you're an expert on this.
No, I didn't say I was an expert. That never came. See, because you guys like to put stuff in other people's mouths. I never said that. I said, do you know where I work? That's what I asked. And then I asked the other young lady where she worked, because like I said, I've been watching you guys give out information. And unfortunately for me, I'm not in the area in which I wrote a lot of things down that I want to kind of hash out. But then that's neither here nor there. And I'm glad that I am in an area in which, and in a place in which that I can give people who do or who are asking questions. Because what I do see a lot of you guys doing is this: when people have opinions or and it may be their own opinions or their own hangups on what is going on, you guys try to be very disingenuous towards them, and then try to erase them or tell them no, this, that, and the other, and try to argue with them. But hold on. The fact of the matter is, The fact of the matter is those people still have opinions, and that's
Yeah.
their opinions. You
And
understand?
that was
And then a
acknowledged
lot
with
of
that
and a lot
last
of things
guess.
is this one here keeps saying what does she keep saying?
Got it. Sorry about that. That's
She kills me with the same thing over and over, and then this little. So let's get to the point. This is
If
an
somebody
issue.
wasn't listening, I'm going to
about?
This
repeat
is
the
an issue.
information.
This is
No,
an
I have that
issue.
source pulled up. Sorry,
If
that shows that
somebody
This is
trans.
an
if
issue.
somebody is giving out misinformation, I'm going to correct it. If somebody is saying the wrong thing, I'm going to correct it. And you said that we didn't acknowledge somebody's feelings. With that last guest, I quite literally acknowledged his feelings. I told him that he's entitled to his feelings 1000%. However, when there's objective facts, I personally do not care about their feelings, because regardless of how you feel or I feel, the objective fact is still going to be objective, regardless of your feelings.
And really quickly, I'd like to reiterate here that the DSM-5 articulates explicitly that gender nonconformity is not in itself a mental disorder. This is why it's really important that you read through all of the diagnostic criteria before
So
you say things like
Which is what
transgender
I
is
said
a
earlier
mental
before she
illness.
started yelling at me about where she works at.
May I please speak? So if it's not a mental disorder, why does the American Psychiatric Association says that it's a mental disorder?
It
So
doesn't.
They're
just
more
as
than likely talking about gender dysphoria. You can be
no,
transgender
they're
and not
talking
have
no,
gender
no,
dysphoria.
they're talking.
What?
It is. It is. It
No,
is.
it's not. I literally just showed you that the DSM-5
Okay.
TR articulates specifically that
So
gender
what? So
nonconformity does not
Let me ask you this: Are you
Sorry,
getting this
I
from?
was
Are
still
you getting this
talking.
from Google?
I was
Are you
still
getting this from
talking.
Google?
You can look at the DSM-5 definition. It's available on PubMed. You can
Yes.
literally go through all the definitions of the DSM-5 for whatever it is you want to look at. You can pull it up and read it verbatim. It is not a mental illness. And once again, gender dysphoria is a diagnosis separate from being transgender. Once again, you can be transgender and not have gender dysphoria. Not everybody that is trans experiences dysphoria.
That's also someone who's cisgendered can experience gender dysphoria.
Correct.
Okay, the beautiful black cat, if you're going to participate in this conversation, you need to unmute yourself. I sent you a request. You should have a giant box on your screen where you can click to unmute. There you go.
So when I do apologize because my little thing, I had to plug it up. When you go into a psych, and I work with a lot of psychologists because of where I work. When you go into, majority of these psychologists treat it as a mental disorder.
What?
If you are
We're
working
talking
with
about
somebody who
transgender. We're talking about transgender. We're talking about
if you are working with a psychologist that treats somebody that is specifically just
do you know how many
transgender as if
classifications
they
it is
have a
for it?
mental illness,
Do you
that
know?
would be
Do you know how many?
malpractice.
Do you know? Do
And
you know
I
how
hope
many
they get that.
classifications it is for it? In the medical book, do you know how many classifications? Can you uproot all of the classifications, the ICD-9 codes for gender dysphoria or for
I said
trans? Can you uproot all of the ICD-9 codes or the
Artemis,
can you?
Yeah, what's up? What's up, Buzzy?
Artemis, is an ICD-9 code a diagnosis, or is it used to charge insurance?
It's used to charge insurance, but it's a diagnosis. You have to have a diagnosis to charge. You have to have a diagnosis to charge, sweetheart.
Hey,
You
hey,
have
so
to, a
what? So let
biologist
me
will
ask
know
you a
this
question.
too.
Since you're
You have
so
to have
versed
a
in the
diagnosis to
DSM,
charge.
since you're so versed in the DSM, specifically on gender dysphoria, which is amazing, how is the criteria separated between adults and children?
And isn't that what we're supposed to be talking about right now?
I'm asking you. You're the expert on this. You work with psychologists, so that automatically means that you know what you're talking about.
Expert? No. Did I
You're
say I was an
acting
expert?
like you
No.
are. You came in here
No.
acting like your authority
No.
makes you better than everybody else, and you're saying we're
Oh
spreading
my God.
misinformation. So
See,
I'm asking for
that sounds like
clarifying
a
questions.
personal
Can you
problem
tell me
because
the
I never
difference
said
between
that I
children
was
and
the
adults?
authority on this. I never said that I was writing the books on it. I just said where I work, I see a lot of it.
The beautiful black cat, we cannot have a conversation if you're not taking turns on speaking. You're just speaking the same time everyone else is speaking. Artemis was saying something to you.
Huh?
I was asking you what the differentiation between children given a diagnosis of gender dysphoria versus adults given a diagnosis of gender dysphoria.
I believe
believe?
That children, I believe that children, and I have other people that believe the same, that we need more research. I think
Not
that
answer the
things.
question.
Not what I
Okay,
asked. I asked you what the DSM-5 PR states.
You asked me, and I'm giving
Okay,
my
great.
personal opinion. So
Well, we don't want your personal opinion. We don't want anything from you. Thank you for the Cash App. Appreciate it. What the fuck was that?
So for people who have the same belief that she does, ICD-9 codes are used for insurance purposes only. They are not consistent with diagnosis. If you're going to look at specific diagnosis, especially when we're talking about mental health, you have the DSM-5. It is quite literally called the DSM-5 because it is the 5th edition. As things change, as the research is presented, peer-reviewed, and fact-checked, that is how we get objective truth. DSM-5 exists for that very reason. It is in its 5th edition. If you want to know what gender dysphoria is, if you want to know what the diagnosis of being transgender consists of, you can go into the DSM-5, the full definition. The entire DSM-5 page is on the PubMed website. You can type it in. It really is not that hard.
But
Also,
she works with psychologists. She knows everything.
Which then goes back to this point as well, because I don't want to allow someone to feel this way. If you are working with a psychologist or a psychiatrist and they tell you that your diagnosis of being transgender is a mental illness, that is malpractice by definition of the DSM-5, and you should sue and take their jobs. Also report them to the board.
Oh, I love it when Buzzy gets all critical like that.
Those of you that were wondering what popcorn I was eating, it's dark and white drizzled popcorn.
I love spicy Buzzy. I've never heard Buzzy raise her voice before, and you had to raise your voice with her.
Because she just would not shut up. You come in here yelling at me. Oh, anybody can get a child growth and development. Then go do it. Please go do it. Work in child advocacy. See the things that I've seen, and then still deal with people that have feelings when there's objective truth. I personally do not care how you feel when there's objective facts. Until you work in advocacy, shut the fuck up.
Oh gosh, I love spicy Buzzy.
Out of all the places that Buzzy has been spicy, my live seems to be the place.
Oh, Rigsy, Buzzy and me running for president would be the most incredible thing on the planet. Obviously, I would take vice president. I would let Buzzy take full
no,
reign.
That's too much attention. That'd be VP.
No.
No, I'm merely just a bee. Never forget.
All right, my battery is getting low. We're gonna do one more person. I'm not gonna charge it because I should take a break. That's it. I don't know. I felt like I was
The only way you can take a break is your phone is just like not charged.
Yeah, I have a new phone and the battery lasts much longer than my old one. So, but this is the first time I've hosted in a while, and I'm sitting on the floor, so I should not charge it right now. Oh, I think I lowered my. This behind me is real.
No, you just have the most amazing green screen studio anyone has ever seen.
I love your pumpkin.
Thank you. There's a skull in it when it lights up.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I found that Squishmallow that flips around, the little kitten one, the little cat one. When I went to go get my blood drawn at Walgreens, and I was like, "Can I have it?" to my husband. He was like, "Yes."
Hi,
Hi, how old are you?
22.
Cool. Why don't you support trans kids?
Because I don't think trans kids have had the development and the experience to make a decision such as that.
So the goal of acknowledging the incongruence is to get them to a point. Well, first, you want them to survive long enough to get to a point where we can fix that incongruence. It's the reason why when we start the process of gender affirming care, they are not immediately diagnosed as transgender. The goal is to solve that incongruence. And sometimes, in its earliest forms, solving that incongruence is as simple as respecting a child's autonomy to pick their clothes or change their hair. Sometimes it's hair, clothes, and name.
Yeah, that's a form of social transitioning, but the issue is that when you talk about trans kids, we need to understand that there's a difference between a feminine gay man and a trans woman. Just because he wants to wear makeup, wear feminine clothes and have nails doesn't all of a sudden means that he wants to be a woman, because that's not what makes somebody a woman.
That's exactly what gender affirming care does. Simply just fix the incongruence. And if that is as simple as child expression, then it's fine. That's
Okay,
quite literally what I
that's
just said.
amazing. But the issue is that just because they're doing these feminine things does not make them a woman.
We agree. We
We
agree.
agree. We don't. That's why we don't diagnose children as trans.
Okay, so then we shouldn't be giving children any form of gender affirming care when it comes to, hormone pills. What is it?
What's a
Puberty
The
hormone
blockers.
goal
pill?
is to fix an incongruence. If that incongruence is occurring because the adults around them do not respect that child's autonomy, through therapy, which it is involving the parent. The child does not go to therapy by themselves. Gender affirming care therapy in youth is with the parent together. The parent has to sign off on it. Also, the parent's insurance is paying for it. This is a together process. It is to get the parent and the child on the same page and the parent to understand what it is the child is needing.
Okay, but what it truly is that the child is needing is for them to validate their identity. It's not
Sometimes.
for them to take these hormones and these puberty blockers.
We
That's
don't
not the
give
greatest form of
children
gender affirming
hormones.
care. The
So,
form of gender affirming care that
so
matters the
HRT
most
and
is validating their identity.
So,
That's what
which
matters
is
the
what
most
I
of all
stated
else.
earlier. HRT and puberty blockers are two different things. If a child is on puberty blockers, it's because their pediatric endocrinologist has diagnosed them with precocious puberty. And it is in effort to slow down their body's development that is developing much faster than it should be.
Also, if I could point out something, when going through the diagnostic criteria for children in the DSM-5 TR, when they look at dressing effeminate and things like that to see if criteria is met, which you have to meet almost all the criteria. I believe there's 8 criteria, and you have to meet 6 of the
Yeah.
8. And they do like go through this because a child that is gay still knows that they are a gay man regardless. They don't sit there and go, I'm a gay man but I dress like a woman, therefore I'm a woman. They still identify as a man. That is a huge distinction.
The
Yes,
reason why you
and
acknowledge the incongruence is because the child is doing something that is called persistent, insistent, inconsistent, where they're constantly throwing something in your face, certain behaviors, certain actions, until you do something about it.
Okay, but the issue here is that just because these actions are what's present does not all of a sudden mean that they are now trans. Like I'm
That's why we
trying to
don't
say.
Yes,
diagnose
we're
them as
saying the
trans.
same thing.
That's why we don't diagnose them as trans. We acknowledge there's an incongruence and we try to fix it. We don't
What we
diagnose them as
diagnose them
trans.
with is gender dysphoria, but
We
like I
don't diagnose them with gender dysphoria either because we acknowledge that someone can be transgender without having dysphoria.
okay, so then what do they have if they
It's an
have this feeling?
incongruence.
Okay, what
So
is gender
you guys will
dysphoria
have to
then if
catch
it
me
is
up. I
not this
missed the beginning of
incongruence?
this conversation.
I'm not sure that I don't know. I think there's a breakdown in communication here. I don't know that China. I
Oh, I
think
sent you one
think
earlier,
China,
Mel.
You said that they
I
have
think
this
China is
incongruence.
agree. So here's what I think. Here's what I think is happening. I think China is agreeing with what I'm saying, but China is not saying it the way that I'm saying it. And I think because I'm not saying it the way China is saying it, there's some sort of breakdown in communication.
Oh,
That's what I think is occurring.
okay, so then
Well,
what are you trying to say? What do you think I'm trying to say?
I'm not really sure, but what I'm saying is that we do not diagnose children as transgender. If a child is
We don't
diagnosed as
diagnose anybody as transgender.
correct,
It's not a diagnosis.
correct. What we acknowledge is that they have an incongruence, and the goal of that is to fix that incongruence. And we go through the step process till we get to a point where that incongruence has resolved. And what I was stating is sometimes fixing that incongruence is as simple as allowing a child to their autonomy, picking their outfits, changing their hair, sometimes changing their name. That solves the incongruence, and you never worry about it again moving forward. Sometimes we realize that in that incongruence, sometimes we realize the thing that's causing that incongruence is precocious puberty. And again, an incongruence occurs in anybody, whether they're trans or not, anyone can have an incongruence. And sometimes we find what's causing that incongruence is precocious puberty, which is an actual doctor, a pediatric endocrinologist, that runs a series of tests in labs to see if something is off while a child is going through puberty. And at that point, in some cases, they are prescribed puberty blockers, which are also monitored very closely through consistent blood work, an effort to slow down their body's development. Now, sometimes they develop a complication of precocious puberty called gynecomastia, which is an overgrowth of breast tissue. This happens in males and females, and they may have a top surgery to remove that excess tissue. The reason why it's considered a gender affirming care surgery is because the child with their doctor can choose how they want their chest to look, how much tissue is actually removed, because there is muscle in there as well. And some people choose to leave more muscle, and some people choose to take off all the tissue. It just really depends. But other than that, I'm not sure where.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so what's your issue with all of that?
Yeah,
There's
well,
nothing that she said isn't accurate.
right. Some kids do need, more. They do need to be prescribed puberty blockers, or they do need HRT in the future.
Yeah,
But the goal is always
it's a case by case basis. I mean, it's everybody's
goal is to
different, and
always
everybody has
fix the
different needs.
Can I speak now, or are you?
Go for it.
We're waiting for you.
Okay, so what I don't really support is the medical transitioning part, because I believe that is the issue when you compare gender affirming care in the sense of somebody being trans or somebody want to transition to a different gender versus precocious puberty, is that we understand that they get these surgeries, like this top surgery and stuff, because of something that's happening within their literal anatomy and their biology. Precocious puberty can cause things such as infertility and other issues, versus being trans, that is an abstract thing. Your gender identity is entirely a thought, a concept within your head. That is a big difference. People with precocious puberty do not get these surgeries because they are trans. It's something within their anatomy that is entirely different.
I think you're misunderstanding what we're saying. Once again,
Yeah.
in the United States of America, specifically, we have a pathway for gender affirming care. As I stated earlier, it's a pathway that we must follow. Surgeries for gender affirming care, unless we're talking about this very specific incident of precocious puberty with a complication of gynecomastia, surgeries in the United States of America only happen after the age of 18, well, 18 and under, 18 and over.
I would argue that even in cases of precocious puberty and gynecomastia, a lot of times surgeons recommend them waiting until their body develops to 18, because they could remove the tissue and then it could come back. I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I can't really.
Yeah, usually, like in some cases, like and I only know this from nursing school.
I'm not saying they don't do it. I'm saying there's many, I think the number of kids that are getting surgeries is so very low because
Absolutely.
it's a
No,
last
and
resort
it's
type
right
of
for the
thing.
reason you said, Mel. It's right for the reason you said. So I only know this because of peds in nursing school. When we talk about gynecomastia, because the child is still in puberty and there's still a chance of breast tissue, a lot of doctors like to wait till 16 because puberty is no longer occurring. 16 is also the age that puberty blockers stop.
And as I always point out, what is the difference between 16 and 18? What is happening in those 2 years that is so detrimental?
Mel Aaron is here.
Oh, I love male Aaron.
No.
Sorry.
That's something.
But
Aaron, I love you so much. I'm sorry.
It's male Aaron.
China, though, some kids like mine, right, were recommended to go on HRT because her puberty was causing her gender dysphoria, was causing distress that was affecting her ability to function in daily life. And because
How was her puberty causing distress?
Because she's trans.
Going through the wrong puberty.
she's going through the wrong puberty. I'm
Yeah, when
confused.
your puberty doesn't align with your gender identity, it can cause distress. It can cause gender dysphoria.
If gender is a social construct, then why does it matter what happens to your body
Gender
at
is
all?
not a social construct.
Never said
Then
it was.
what the hell is it to you?
Biopsychosocial.
Correct. Biopsychosocial specifically. And so what they mean by wrong puberty specifically is when we talk about the fact that somebody is experiencing an incongruent in which their sex and their identity are not aligning. On top of that, they're going through a puberty that is specific to their sex that is going to cause distress. Gender dysphoria is the distress.
Okay, but then the issue that presents itself here is that we understand that you can't even fully transition to the opposite sex.
There's
And
not
if
a
you
fully transitioning point. It's what you do to affirm your gender is varies person for person.
Okay, yeah, I get that it varies person for person, but if you're saying that it's not a social construct and that it's biopsychosocial or whatever, then we understand that there are certain parts where you can't fully transition because you
There's
can't change your
fully
anatomy.
transition isn't a thing.
It's actually a psychosocial schema. It's like a schematic in your brain of your experiences, and there's a lot of things that contribute to it.
I feel
Through your
like
gender
somebody
identity.
on this panel knows the definition. Aaron, do you know the definition? Could you give them the definition of the psychosocial schema or the biopsychosocial, however you would like to approach this?
Well, the schema is just another word for it is schemata, which is the plural for it. But schema was referring to the internal brain mapping that's processing information. So when a person's gender doesn't align with their sex characteristics and it causes distress, that's referring to the way in which the brain was expecting certain outcomes or certain anatomical features to be present when they're not. And that's what's causing the distress. So when Mel's reporting on her daughter feeling distressed about puberty, it's about the way in which her daughter's brain is processing this information and it's causing harm that the puberty is starting and essentially conflicting in a distressing way with the schema.
And the easiest way to explain this is if a male does not have an incongruence and they are cisgender and they have gynecomastia and they are developing B cups, what would that cause?
Is there
Some significant
I'll repeat
distress.
your question real quick?
What'd you say?
Repeat your question.
I said if a male is going through puberty and they are cisgender and they start developing B cups because of precocious puberty with a complication of gynecomastia, what is that going to cause for them when they look in the mirror?
Some sort of distress.
Same.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing for trans kids. Excuse me.
I think people also need to learn what extremely rare is. Y'all use rare way too damn often, and sorry, it's a common thing. It's bothering me. People go gynecomastia is extremely rare. It's not that rare.
Yeah, it's uncommon.
It's been ascribed that precocious puberty goes underdiagnosed because parents don't report.
Yes.
Yeah, they see it as more of a weight issue in their child than what it actually is a lot of times, so it doesn't get reported appropriately.
Host, can
Okay,
you
y'all
let me know
done?
what the main contention of this guest was, or what was being discussed earlier before I
It
came
sounded
in?
more to me like a fear of maybe a feminine girl being told that they're transgender, or a
No,
feminine boy. I mean, feminine boy.
it's because a lot of the times those lines are blurred a lot between what a feminine gay man is and a trans woman. A lot of that shit gets blurred a lot of the time.
Not in clinical spaces where the diagnosis happens.
No, but yes, it does though, because a lot of
No.
times when
No,
we
it doesn't.
have boys who just like things that girls usually like, that's a lot of the times diagnosed as gender dysphoria.
No.
It's really seen as one of the
it's not.
symptoms.
So China, I am someone who practices therapy and I've diagnosed people with gender dysphoria, and I can tell you that is not at all ever considered in the diagnostic process. So there is what's called a differential diagnosis. It's a list of diagnoses we have to check before we give and justify the diagnosis. And one of those is what's called gender diversity or gender nonconformity. So when we're referring to gay men who don't meet the norm of men, they are excluded from the diagnostic process because being gay is not part of gender nor dysphoria.
Yeah, that's my entire point that I'm making. You know, a feminine gay man is not a trans woman. Yes, being gay is not
Correct.
a part of gender.
Facts.
And
We've
we
said
wouldn't-
this multiple times.
Yeah. And they would not be diagnosed with gender dysphoria just because they're a gay effeminate man. That's not how the diagnosis works.
It's autonomy.
So then why is the feminine behaviors that they have and the feminine things that they like seen as certain symptoms for it? I mean, you said it yourself.
Feminine behaviors are not being considered under the diagnostic criteria.
Then what is gender nonconformity? Tell me what that is.
It is just simply your behaviors not conforming with societal expectations. That's not part of the diagnostic criteria.
The societal expectation for somebody who is a male or a man is for them to like more masculine things. So if they like feminine things, that is gender nonconformity right then and there.
Yeah, and that's not a diagnosis.
Yeah,
You
gender
literally
nonconformity.
said that it was a symptom, though.
No, it's not.
You're not listening. Like, please listen to what Aaron and Mel are
It's
saying.
not a diagnosis or a symptom. Just to clarify, it's not a diagnosis or a symptom.
Yeah, gender nonconformity is not considered part of the criteria for diagnosing gender dysphoria.
Okay, so then what is a part of this criteria then if it's not gender
Would you like me to read my DSM-5? Because
Yeah, go on
I
ahead.
have mine too. I just pulled it out because like we can't memorize this stuff.
I was so ready to go to the
Page
DSM-5 online.
451.
I love y'all so much.
Page 451.
Oh, you must have the desktop one.
He's got the desktop one. He's got to be fancy.
Oh, you're so fancy.
Okay, so when we're talking about diagnostic criteria for gender dysphoria and gender dysphoria in children, which is code F64.2 or 302.6 for the DSM-5 coding, Part A is referring to a marked incongruence between one's experienced expressed gender and assigned gender, or what we call natal gender, or now known as just your sex, of at least 6 months duration as manifested by at least 6 of the following criteria. 1, a strong desire to be of the other gender or an insistence that one is the other gender. 2, in boys, a strong preference for cross-dressing or simulating female attire, or in girls, a strong preference for wearing only typical masculine clothing and a strong resistance to the wearing of typical feminine clothing. 3, a strong preference for cross-gender roles in make-believe play or fantasy play. 4, a strong preference for the toys, games, or activities stereotypically used or engaged in by the other gender. A strong preference for playmates of the other gender. 6, in boys, a strong rejection of typically masculine toys, games, and activities, and a strong avoidance of rough and tumble play. Or in girls, a strong rejection of typically feminine toys, games, and activities. 7, a strong dislike of one's sexual anatomy. And 8, a strong desire for the primary and or secondary sex characteristics that match one's experienced gender. The condition, or part B, is associated with clinically significant distress or impairment in social, school, or other important areas of functioning. And to clarify it even further with the differential diagnosis, I'm going to go over to the differential diagnosis of nonconformity to gender roles. Gender dysphoria should be distinguished from simple nonconformity of stereotypical gender role behaviors by the strong desire to be of another gender than the assigned one, and by the extent and pervasiveness of gender-varying activities and interests. The diagnosis is not meant to merely describe nonconformity to stereotypical gender role behavior. For example, tomboyism in girls, girly boy behavior in boys, occasional cross-dressing in adult men. Given the increased openness of atypical gender expressions by individuals across the entire range of the transgender spectrum, it is important that the clinical diagnosis be limited to those individuals whose distress and impairment meet the specified criteria.
Okay. Anyway, so hold on, wait.
Anyway.
Thank you, Eric. I
don't know what
appreciate you
talked
reading
over
all of
me.
that out.
So I don't wait, hold on. I don't understand how you're gonna talk about how a feminine gay man, right, is apparently somebody who's dressing up in, wigs and shit, putting on nails, this, that, and the third. That is not one of the criteria. Yet the second criteria you just listed was a man cross-dressing.
No.
That's not what it says.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
That's not what it said, Gus. Well, I'll read it again. Would you like me to
Okay.
read it again?
It's not what it said. It specifically said that should not be used as
Not
the
only that,
criteria for diagnosis.
Not only that, something to remember here is that a child must meet at least 6 of these for at least 6 months consistently, which
Yes.
means they're doing all of these at the same time, all 6 or more of these things or criteria as we call them, for 6 months consistently. That doesn't mean that they do one of them and we're like, oh, they got gender dysphoria. That's not how it works.
Yep.
Which
So
goes back to
as
what I
I
said
said
earlier.
before, in criteria number 2 for boys, that in other words, that's their assigned gender, that boys have a strong preference for cross-dressing or simulating female attire, a strong preference for wearing only typical masculine clothing, and a strong resistance to the wearing of typical feminine clothing. This is about strong resistances or distresses, which is why it's important when you go over to the differential diagnosis of gender nonconformity and roles. It says, it is important that the clinical diagnosis be limited to those individuals whose distress and impairment meet the specified criteria. So the criteria is about distress and impairment, not because someone just wants to wear the other clothing.
Okay, but you do realize that, of course, the people who do cross-dress and stuff, that's because that's what they feel most comfortable doing.
Yes.
Right?
Which is not about distress.
Oh my god, but it's
If
a
you're not
combination.
if you're in a place where you're not comfortable, you will always be at distress. That's the first thing. And the
That's
second
not what
thing,
we're talking about.
That's not the same thing.
okay. Okay, cool. So, if I'm in a place where I'm uncomfortable, I'm not at distress.
China, if we say that the typical gender role of boys and men is to have short hair, if they have long hair, is that in any way indicate clinical distress or impairment?
No, but that's what you're saying it
Right.
is, right?
No,
No, that's not what we're saying. Oh God, no. Oh no.
China, we're saying the exact same thing you just responded no and yes to.
Mm-hmm.
Because you cannot just have a boy who wants to paint his nails and thus gets what we might call gender dysphoria. That's not what that means. It means that the boy has very strong resistance or desires or distress to something else, not assigned to his gender.
It's actually the opposite, because I would argue that that boy who enjoys painting their nails is getting euphoria from doing so.
Correct.
Not dysphoria.
That's the point. Yeah.
Exactly.
You'd see them very happy.
Isn't that the whole point? If they're getting wait, because if you're listing this off as a criteria for them being distressed, but then you just said that they get euphoria from it, then
Because the child we're referring to that's getting euphoria is not transgender and doesn't have gender dysphoria. That's our point.
okay,
They
so
quite
then
simply are just expressing
Just
themselves.
based on that one characteristic.
Yes. Expressing yourself is not a clinical criteria. You have to have very strong wants and have distress.
Which
and
is
have
why I
impairments
was-
and functions. Yes.
Which is why I was saying earlier that the goal is the incongruence, and sometimes fixing an incongruence is as simple as allowing the child to their autonomy of self-expression.
Yep.
I mean, I would argue that all children should have the autonomy of self-expression, trans or cis, but
Every child, because that's how you get every child. Because if children do not, because at a certain, here's the early child in development is about to pop out. At a certain age, around the time that gender is developing, which happens from the ages of 3 to 7, when gender is developing in the brain, the child is also developing autonomy and sense of self. They're also developing at the same time their ability to say no. that is fully sentient autonomy coming in, and them realizing that they can say no and that people will listen or that people will respond. When that happens, if a child is developing, and it's really not that hard, if a child is developing a sense of self around the same time that gender is developing, and that sense of self is not being respected, that would cause an incongruence.
The other
Okay,
thing too is I
but
think
wait,
people
hold
make
on.
the mistake of reading the DSM, like you pull up this page online because everybody keeps doing it, and you go, oh, look, this person has this or this, as if it's like a fever and a sore throat and a headache, and they must have this, and that's not how the DSM works. That's not how clinical criteria works.
Yeah,
It's not that
what
simple.
what you're committing, China, is what's called diagnostic inflation. You're taking normal behaviors and then applying them into the criteria, which is not what the criteria is. It's normal for kids to express themselves in cross-dressing. But what's not normal is that if a kid desires or has a strong desire to cross-dress because there is distress about their gender, that is outside of the normal range of behavior.
Okay, so I know Buzzy was talking about how at the same time that children are developing their gender, they're also developing their sense of self. The issue is that with the development of gender, this goes past and beyond childhood, because we understand that men and women, a big difference between them is that they have certain experiences that are unique to them that also characterize them. You know that,
Yeah,
right?
those are
So
called
you need
schemas.
yeah, that would be the schema. And you're talking about how gender is presented. However, gender is developed in the hypothalamus and the third interstitial space. And that area of the brain finishes developing at the age of 7. That's very specific, small portion of the brain is developed at the age of 7. Um, but how that is expressed could possibly change throughout a lifetime. You're talking about the expression of gender, not gender itself.
Right.
Okay.
So gender expression can fluctuate over time, but what we look for is that the child's identity or the internal sense of self is consistent. Because what's happening with the child or an adult as they live their lives with the schema of their identity, that is an attempt, or it's always attempted by that person to reach a level of cognitive consistency. In other words, their internal self matches the world around them as best they can.
Okay, so oh, wait, were you still speaking?
Not yet.
Okay, so when we talk about children developing their gender, this, that, and the third, the issue with that is that as a child, when you think of a woman or a man and stuff, when you think of a woman, you think of, you know, Barbie.
A child thinks of themselves as a girl or a boy, not a man or a woman.
Correct. And also, this
Okay,
goes back to the
look,
conversation that was happening earlier about biopsychosocial. Gender is an experience that is biopsychosocial. It is internal and also learned through outer experiences. And what I mean by that, for some little girls, all they know is super maybe their mom likes doing yard work and building shit. And maybe for them, that's what it means to be a girl, that because their mom and them have things in common based off of what they're seeing with their eyes. And for some boys, maybe for them, their dad likes cleaning and cooking. And so for them, that's what a boy is. It's biopsychosocial, it's internal to self and also experienced on the outside through what you know. Every child has an experience with that based around the people around them. That's why it is biopsychosocial.
okay, that's not what I'm trying to address, though. What I'm trying to say is that when it comes to gender and the understanding of gender, it's not just about what you see your mom and dad do. There are certain experiences that characterize men and women that the other gender, the opposite gender, cannot experience. Like, for example, a woman's first period. That is a monumental experience in her womanhood. Her first period is a very monumental experience.
I acknowledge that in the biopsychosocial. That's what I was
You're not
saying,
letting
that
me
it is
finish my
personal
point.
to you.
You're not letting me finish my point. My point that I'm trying to say is that these children at such a young age have no understanding of even the concept of experiences like that. So how would they know what gender they truly want to be?
Okay, so China, do boys produce, or rather, I should say, do boys impregnate women?
Okay. Yeah.
They what?
Not boys, but men.
I hope
No,
not.
no. Stay on the question because I asked, do boys impregnate women?
Oh wait, no, men, not boys, men.
Right. So boys who are children know that they have a different gendered experience as a child. They're not claiming that somehow they can impregnate an adult.
What I'm saying is that they don't even understand how stuff like that works at such a
A
young
boy
age.
is not
7, 8, and
supposed
9.
to. A boy is not supposed to. Sorry, Mel, go ahead.
No, you're good. Not, and the thing is, when you talk about periods, right? That's not. You said it was like a woman thing. Not all women experience that. That's not. We all have different experiences, so that's kind of irrelevant.
And some girls experience precocious puberty, so they sometimes experience a period at 8 years old. But they're still a girl. Their identity is still that of a girl. They have not reached adult maturity yet.
Which is what I was saying with the biopsychosocial. It is personal to self. It is social in that children learn from the world around them. And it is also internalized to what it develops to in expression. It is biopsychosocial. So that acknowledges all the every aspect of gender, but that does not change the fact that that very small portion of the brain that gender is developed in is closed in its development by the age of 7. Expression is what changes.
China, how old are you?
22.
Are you a boy or a man?
Man.
And what was the distinguishing experience you had that differentiates you now as a man as opposed to being a boy a long time ago?
Well, now I have this responsibility where I need to take care of myself. You know, my parents aren't exactly sitting there feeding me dinner every day. And also on top of that, you know.
So puberty played no role in that?
Puberty, I mean, but you even said out of your own damn mouth, puberty stops at age 16. I'm 22.
I never said that.
Aaron never said that.
So China, did puberty define you as becoming a man?
No, it did not. It's the.
Oh, how interesting! Because you claimed earlier that like girls and boys don't think about these things, therefore they can't claim they're a man or a woman. No kidding. They're not claiming this such.
No,
they're claiming themselves. They're claiming themselves. They're claiming themselves to be boys
part
and
of their
girls.
experience that a child that young would not be able to understand.
No kidding. Which is why you weren't a man before puberty, correct?
Yes.
Yes, you
I'm
were a
not going to be
boy.
able to understand an experience like that.
Correct,
That's why
you
I
were
want
a
to understand
boy.
whether or not I want to be a man or a woman.
If you walk up to a 6-year-old child, if you walk up to a 6-year-old little girl and you tell her she's a boy, what is she going to do?
I don't know. It depends on who the hell it is.
Okay, so in most cases, because of that sense of self, if you walk up to a 6-year-old little girl and you say, "You're a boy," if they know you or they find you funny, in most cases they'll start laughing and they'll say, "No, I'm a girl." And then if you keep saying it, eventually they'll point to somebody in their surrounding that is a boy and they'll say, "That's a boy. I'm a girl."
Yeah,
Because you can't change someone's identity, their self-identity. You can't change that. That is inarguable. It's actually objective fact. You can't change someone's self-identity. So children will fight with you to the death if you tell them that they are something they're not, because they have a sense of self. And that sense of self is going to be with them throughout their lifetime.
The sense of self of them specifically being a girl in that instance is because influences earlier for me telling them that they, oh my God. Like, damn, I'm trying to speak. Why are you trying to speak over me? You ancient dingbat shit.
So Mel isn't an ancient dingbat, but you sound just really dumb, China.
You sound just really dumb and you look really dumb in the fucking face. Long chin ass bitch, Rapunzel, let down your chin. Playing with me, bitch.
Are you okay?
I love my long hair. I don't know what you're talking about.
My long hair. I said your long chin. Bitch,
I don't have a long chin.
You don't have one.
Yeah.
You're clearly a child.
You're clearly a child. Okay, and you. Okay, never mind. You're clearly on your deathbed. You're about ready to step in that motherfucking casket. Are you serious?
Maybe one day.
Did your China? Did your balls drop yet?
Did your balls drop yet? Can that chin drop? You long chin ass bitch, come on! I could slip my wrist on your chin. Are you absolutely serious?
Why would you slit your wrist? That was
Why would you
stupid. Why would you self-harm yourself in effort to make a joke? What is wrong with you?
Self-harm myself, bitch. I say your name 3 times in the mirror and I end up in the projects. Bitch, your poverty is self-harm. You big, beefy, broke ass bitch. Stop playing with some motherfucking body.
Poverty?
Anyways.
Poverty? That's funny.
Are you okay?
No, he's not okay. His balls haven't dropped yet, clearly.
Poverty. That is hilarious.
All right. Well, you have some serious problems, China.
Anyways, bye. Have a nice day, oldie.
Okay, I'm glad I'm like super old.
That was interesting, and I'm older than you, so I guess I'm really old.
I could tell how bored Mel was.
Well, okay, because I was gonna end, right? Because, yeah. So I was like, well, we'll just finish this, but what a waste of fucking time.
No kidding.
Well, he was definitely a waste of sperm. So
Did you see the message I sent you about I was feeding my bearded dragons when Artemis texted me, so I was like, stupid me, I left the thing open and the dogs almost ate one of them.
I saw it. Yeah, no,
They're okay. Nothing bad happened, but
now I look a little plump, somebody said. Okay, cool, thanks.
Oh,
you're not.
Stop it.
You're not plump. Like, hold on. Like, do all of you realize a plum is very like delicate and juicy? Yeah. So to everyone in the comments, like, screw you all. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Go eat a plum.
People are.
Oh my god.
Oh, whatever. Anyway, did anyone learn anything from that previous conversation? I hope somebody did, because holy shit.
Yeah, I hope so.
I learned that you can walk someone through a tutorial how to describe a document like the DSM-5, and they'll just go, nah, never mind. I'm like, okay.
Well, it's just repeating themselves. Like, that's all he did was repeat himself over and over. And then just went to like straight on to text. Well, see, so here's a paper I'm going to read called Critical Thinking Skills for Intelligence Analysis. My husband gave this to me. I got to read this damn thing.
Yeah,
that seems really cool.
We actually spend quite a large amount of time learning how to read, interpret, and use the information in the DSM. It's not just a simple like, here you go, here's the book.
And for me as an advocate with a license in early childhood growth and development, my goal is observation, assessment, and also to be able to relay that information to the necessary bodies, depending on what I'm doing with that advocacy. For me, in certain situations, it's been me sitting there watching a child engage for 4 or 6 hours and then writing a full report on it and having to turn that into the state. It really just depends on what I'm doing with the knowledge of which I possess. And to the point of somebody earlier that was like, anybody can have an early childhood growth and development license, go do it. I don't go do it personally. I don't care. I do with my license a multitude of things. Get your license and do with it what you will, and then we can talk about it.
Apparently, you're just impoverished. That's the whole problem.
Yeah, apparently I'm impoverished. But meanwhile, I was on Mel's live one morning eating calamari and trying to answer questions.
I don't know. That was something.
There's a whole lot of TikTok doctors and therapists, I'll tell you what.
Oh no. I want people to understand that working in social services.
Mel, I got a violation. I'm gonna drop down real quick.
Jesus, I didn't even know. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Bye. Really quick, husband of mine put a bunch of eyeballs. My husband needs like 8 more followers, I think, to be able to join my live. So if you guys can help me out there, let's see if you'll.
Who is it?
I
didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
A husband of mine is going to post a bunch of eyeballs, I think is what she said. There's eyeballs.
Yeah, yep, that's what I said. Oh, he wrote 5, I think. Why'd you do that? I told you to put eyeballs.
Okay.
Oh, I see him. I see him.
Dr. Slayer.
I followed him.
I love how it says Mr. Mel. That's great.
Hi, Mr. Mel. No, I want people to understand that, like, working in social services will never make you rich. I mean, it could technically, if you tried really hard and you fought people tooth and nail all the days of your life, plus did your job. Very rough. But yeah, working in social services will never make you rich, especially if you work in nonprofit or you work in advocacy. It will never make you rich. And in some cases, you won't even live comfortable. But what you do get is the ability to say that you love what you do or that you've effectively made a difference on a regular basis.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if somebody wants to pay off my student loans, feel free. I don't mind. Because I swear we end up with more student loans than we do anything else. It's ridiculous.
The only thing stopping me from going back to school for a certain degree is the student loan aspect. I was looking at how little student loans I have, thanking God, and I'm like, how much more money would be added to that?
We need your age.
What is your age, please? Hello?
Too silent. He's
Oh
lying.
man, is he gonna be a pain in the ass?
Give me a second to figure out where the
He's too
mic
silent.
is.
He's lying.
I don't
He's
think
lying.
so. Just
No,
stop.
he's lying about his age.
Wait, is this
28.
his first time live?
You are not 28. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm no longer.
Wow. It's historic.
Big event.
Don't lie about your age on TikTok. How old are you, please? Also, you can't turn your camera on, I don't think, until you have 1,000, but you can now go live.
Yay.
It sounds pretty convincing. Anyway, if you guys want to follow him, he's still here.
I did already.
Now, let me ask you for real, Mr. Waffle or Dr. Waffle Slayer, how old are you?
Let me get my license real quick. Looks
What?
big 4-3, I think.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm older than both of you.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, all right. I was gonna end, but my phone, I wasn't gonna charge, and then that previous guest, we wasted extra time on him. So.
Oh, that's a good point. I get to retire first, maybe.
I don't know. People learned from that conversation because there was the reading of the DSM-5, then it was worth it. But what I've learned from that conversation is that you can explain 7 ways to Sunday how you agree with a person, and they will still try to argue with you.
Seriously, I know. It just kept repeating themselves. Also, those of you, I don't know how many of my haters are here, but those of you who don't think I am married, I actually am. My children do have a father.
Yeah. I hate her too, so I get it.
Say what now?
Nothing.
Wow. What are you on?
You know, you gotta be careful on
It's
this.
just a sensation. I mean,
You're not gonna keep your account around very long if you keep
oh yeah, I don't know any of the rules, so you know.
Yeah, you don't. You're not doing very good.
Yeah,
I'm consistent
rude.
at least.
Yeah, at least there's consistency in your household. You're both rude.
I like the comment, you know, I can't believe Mel hired an actor to be on her live to pretend to be her husband. That is
Stop
definitely
it.
probably going to get accused of. No, that was a friend, but I'm probably gonna get
Maybe there'll be lore about you now, Mel. Maybe you'll get your own lore. Like, have you seen Goosey's lore?
No.
Apparently, there are thousands of people on this app that don't believe that Goosey is trans.
Oh yeah.
Like,
So
no matter how many times Goosey does like a live with the photos in his background, there are thousands of people on this live that do not believe that Goosey is trans. And one day I randomly, like after being in Goose's live, a video about it came across my For You page and I went down the rabbit hole. There's Reddit threads and everything. So maybe this will be your lore. Maybe your lore will be that Dr. Waffles is a paid actor.
Honestly.
yeah. Sorry, Dr. Waffle.
I want to know what it's like to have that kind of time on your hands, seriously. To create an entire like account around disproving somebody's identity. Like, really?
I know.
What's that like?
For real.
I have
Also,
tons
real
of
quick,
work people could do.
can you guys see how many subscribers I have? Like, I didn't get any like subwaves or anything. I think it's stuck.
I can't see like ever since some update, I haven't been able to see shares or anything for quite a
138
while.
because it's saying it's at 130. It says it's saying it's still at 118, 138. Yeah, it says my goal is complete, but it says 118 to me. So that's very strange. Well, thank you guys.
I can't see it at all. It's weird.
It is weird. TikTok told me I needed to update earlier too for something I'm trying, but then it's not showing an update. So I'm like,
Also, I want to clarify that I'm not spreading rumors about Goosey. I've also told Goosey about his lore. I actually asked Goosey if he knew about his lore, to which he told me he did know. He did, in fact, know there are thousands of people on this app that do not believe he's a trans man.
People do that all the time. They think like we're stealing each other's backgrounds and whatever else we're doing. Like, hello, people, we actually do talk off this app. It's not the only time we talk to each other.
I know people are so strange. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know that people don't think I actually have kids. When I muted myself multiple times today to talk to my kids. So
Every
I
morning,
can
Marilla
verify
does
she does have children.
sis, you know, you gotta be careful on this app. Also, do you want me to use your name?
Dr. Waffle Slayer? Yeah, absolutely. I am insulted that you don't at home.
Okay then.
No, I don't.
We're getting into territory we all need to know about.
I'm on Waffle Slayer's side.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I support Waffle Slayer's endeavors.
Do I start calling you Dr. Waffle Slayer at home? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
oh dear.
I got to find scenarios where that feels right. But no,
All right, switch that background to After Dark.
I've already been tempted to say your name like multiple times. That's why I'm like, I don't know if we are going to do that
I
or
don't-
not.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I really don't.
Wait, so this is the Patriots fan?
Yes.
Boo. Not
All
the
right, Buzzy.
Not the Patriots. No, boo.
I think you're outnumbered.
Oh, boo. Still boo. Long distance booing.
Apparently, he's not going to comment on that though. He might.
Well, I work 2 full-time jobs, so sports aren't really I just try to find time to take a leap when I can. So, I don't follow a lot of sports.
They saw your hat on my pumpkin carving live the other day. That's why.
How dare you? I do like my hats though.
I can support your endeavors on this.
Thank you.
I'm also from New England, though.
Right? Anyone who's a Pats fan is not from New England is a liar. Because we are terrible.
Long distance booing.
Jerks,
Anyway.
Mr. Mel isn't too bad.
I like to describe myself as average.
I don't even know where to go with that.
Fine. Slightly above average.
Oh dear.
There's still a joke to be had.
Slightly above average. So, how about those Patriots?
All right, I'm gonna say your name. It's Casey because I'm just gonna keep being tempted to say it. Casey, do you see the account that says Mel for ketchup?
Yes. No, I don't. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's just funny
It's
because I
in the
was
comments.
I had a hot take the other day that we don't need ketchup. Like ketchup is not a necessity.
Oh no, I concur.
Who hurt you? Why do you behave like this, Mel? Do we need to have a talk? What's going on that's led you to this?
Which Mel are you referring to?
I'm talking to the Mel that has a disdain for ketchup, clearly. Please
Oh,
explain
rude
yourself.
Mel.
There's a time, like fries, and that's as far as it'll go.
So you acknowledge that there is a need for ketchup.
not a strong need.
But there is a need.
It's kind of like a step parent, I would say. You know, that you don't
And it has a
need them,
positive
need
effect
them.
on your life.
It could. They could, I guess.
Yeah, see, it has a positive effect on your life. There is a need for ketchup.
Oh, you know what? That's true. A hot dog as well. But yeah,
Never smear the good name of ketchup again, Mel.
I shanked, and it was.
We shouldn't have to come to the round table on this again.
It's not necessary.
Sorry. We should not have to come to the round table again. We should not have to sit at a table in a circle about this again. I don't want to look you in your eyeballs like this.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
I like mustard on my soggies. I bet you. Wait, do you guys know what those are? You don't.
Listen,
you don't, do you?
Mel's altar, this is not about you. Alternative Mel, this is not about you.
Alternative Mel. Wow.
Yeah, alternative Mel. You ride a motorcycle, you live an alt lifestyle, you're pretty badass. So alternative Mel, this is not about you.
I guess it's better than other Mel.
It is.
I'm going for emo Mel and slightly emo Mel.
Ketchup on ice cream? What?
Santa's a liar, a cad, and a fraud, a scammer, if you will. Santa isn't real. Santa was never real.
I'm gonna start my cancel Santa lives because it's November, and those are very I don't know. I haven't done it since people know me, so it might be much worse than they were last year.
Wait,
But
what
I'm
are they?
Cancel Santa.
Oh wow. So this is epic actually. We have wait, so what are you saying? Alt Mel? But I'll say nice Mel. We have nice Mel, rude Mel, and Mr. Mel all in the same live.
What an interesting time to be like, oh, while we're on the subject of ketchup, if you are British, I do not want to see one comment underneath someone cooking food in America. I watched somebody use SpaghettiOs as gravy over mashed potatoes. I watched somebody in Britain put tuna fish on top of a baked potato. I do not want to hear one comment about American food if you are British. You have no room to talk. None at all.
SpaghettiOs shouldn't even be a thing.
These kids are driving me crazy. Casey, you didn't want to go to Olive Garden with us?
Nah, I'm good. You guys go ahead. I gotta work.
It sounds like me. That's all I do is work. Literally.
Pretty much what it's like.
I was up till 3:30 doing work last night, and then I had class at 9. And I'm still up. Don't ask me why or how.
I won't.
Oh, nothing against the British. Love the British, hate the food. But you said at least British food doesn't have 40 plus grams of sugar in literally everything. You should look at the salt content on that SpaghettiO can, man.
Is Adora going? It's Adora's day off.
No
She's
lives
not
on
going
today.
live.
She will be back.
She's done good today. I
She'll be
think.
back tomorrow morning. She requested earlier, but I think it was for some like a warning on a guest, but the guest left and then she withdrew her request. So
Is that so when like if I do that, because sometimes I'll request for something specific and then I'll drop, or I'll request by accident, because that never happens. And then does that keep like
that
showing up?
No.
Like
Does
is
it
it
keep showing up?
annoying?
You're awful. Me? I'm awful? Oh yeah, how am I awful?
Playing my video. Inviting me on the show. You just wanted to make fun of me. You're just like the rest of them.
You don't know the first thing about me, pal. Look what happened because of what you did, what it led to. There were riots out there. 2 policemen are in critical condition. You're laughing. You're laughing. Someone was killed today because of what you did.
I know. How about another joke, Murray?
No, I think we've had enough of your jokes.
What do you get?
I don't think so.
When you cross
I think
a
we're
mentally
done
ill
with your
loner
jokes.
with
That's
a
it.
society that abandons him and treats him like trash.
Call the police,
I'll
Gene.
tell you what you get.
Call the police.
You get what you fucking deserve.
You sick bastard! Look at this! Chicks with dicks! Ooh,
Oh my god. Oh my god, I have a disease, all right? I need help. There are no chicks with dicks, Johnny. Only guys with tits.
Fuck it all. Fuck it all. Don't give a shit anymore. Fuck it all. Fuck it all. Flip the table, screw you all. I don't take this bullshit anymore. I don't give a fuck.
I said there are so many amendments in the Constitution of the United States of America. I can only choose one. I can only choose one. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anything you say, fifth. Go ahead, ask me a question. Did you?
Me was just delete the files. No. That shit can always be recovered. We gotta smash your laptop with a hammer. All right, there, you happy? No, the circuits could still be reconstructed if somebody worked at it. We gotta bury it in the harbor.
Let these black motherfuckers that you hang with make you think that you about that life or you somehow moving over here, bruh. You came over here with the fuck shit. And please know I'm about that shit, whether you scared of me or not. This don't got nothing to do with that. Like, you want some fuck shit, my nigga. Now, if you got a problem with me, I can shut this down and I can meet you over your channel and we can discuss it on some real shit. This ain't about whether you worried about me or not. I don't give a fuck about you. You's a sucker-ass motherfucker.
Check me out. Still Trent, nigga. AK, nigga. Though I phone a lot, can't keep it home a lot. Cause when I frequent